Good afternoon, all, and welcome to another edition of the Sal Greco Show. And I'm your host, Sal Greco. Thank you all for tuning in. Thanks, everyone, in the comments. I see you, James Jordan, Sleepy Joe, Hood Mayor, NYC. If you guys can, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like, share, subscribe button. Hit the notification button as well. If you can, also on Rumble, if you're watching us on Rumble, please hit that like button, hit the Rumble button. And if you're watching us streaming all over the world on X right now, please hit the like button. Please also repost this if you can and share this amongst your friends, especially those in the low information bubble, because as you know, this is a fact-based analysis show and we try to inform the masses. So today was going to be a special look at something, which is the mayor's race. And there's been a lot of talk about Cuomo, about Curtis Sliwa, about Zoran Mamdani. So me and, as you know, John Macari, who is the founder of the Finest Unfiltered, we were going to talk about certain issues. So I like to bring on John, who's been waiting in the wings there, and he's raring to go.
What's up, brother? Let's get going on this. This is crazy stuff happening. We got a rough 3 weeks coming up. We gotta get Sliwa across the finish line. Insanity was happening right now.
Yeah, and look, I'm not going to make any bones about it. Neither is John. We proudly endorse Curtis Sliwa. Curtis is a friend of mine personally, so and I wanted him to run for mayor and be the mayor about the day after Eric Adams won, because I knew that was going to be a failure. And but lately the rhetoric that we're hearing amongst New York City voters and even Republicans is this whole, now because Eric Adams is gone, there's a push for Andrew Cuomo. And, I can't believe that people would actually be low information enough to go backwards, because this guy destroyed not only the city, but the state. And 5 years ago, he had people like John, like myself, like you that are watching right now, trapped in your homes, saying you weren't even worthy enough to go out. So we're going to play some videos and show you what we're talking about with Andrew Cuomo. So let's play the first one where this is him with Errol Lewis, and he says this is Cuomo saying why New York City should vote for him.
I want people to understand what the issues are, what he is proposing, what I'm proposing, what his experience is, what my experience is, his qualifications, my qualifications, and let them make an informed decision. This is not a choice that should be made on TikTok, right? This is not about a tweet. We're talking about mayor of New York City. Any given day, any morning, anything can happen in this city. There could be a mass shooting, God forbid. The mayor, lives literally depend on the mayor. And Errol, I've sat in that seat, and I know the kinds of challenges that you face.
How many lives had that has he taken that he knows about the lives, Sal? Like, that is absolute his policies as a result of.
What about he's talking about his past, right? So we'll go into when he was a governor. Did he care about people then? Because he says the mayor matters, the mayor's staff, all the mayor. But what about when he ran the state? What can we talk about his staff? What was he doing as the governor? Did somebody point out a policy anywhere?
I mean, we know who we appointed to the parole board, and they released all cop killers, right? We know his appointments to the parole board. We know what he did during COVID. We know the restrictions he placed on people, and we know how he empowered criminals. Don't forget, not only did this man bring in bail reform, he brought in discovery reform. Yep. He literally caused violent crime recidivism in New York City. He's the sole factor of it. At the same time, he was cheering to shut down Rikers Island. Like, people have short memories, but we have to understand right now that there was a trend happening right after Mamdani won the Democratic primary where it was only Eric Adams could save New York City, and it was a complete lie. And right now, what's being pitched to all of us is only Andrew Cuomo could save New York City, and again, it's a complete lie. Andrew Cuomo knows he cannot win this race. He is the spoiler candidate. If anyone votes for Andrew Cuomo, that is a vote for Zohran Mamdani, and that's exactly what he's looking to have happen, because he needs the Democratic support, because he wants to challenge the governor again. He wants his seat back.
Yeah, I thought personally, if Cuomo would have held out and run for governor instead of running for mayor, he would have stood a better chance. Although I think the progressives, if they don't like Hochul, will bring up their own candidate, and that candidate will beat Hochul anyway. I don't think Cuomo really has a chance at winning anything ever again, because he's damaged goods, you know. But him talking the way he is, like right there with Errol Lewis, and you look at that smug look on his face, how he's talking like he knows more than everyone else. You know, the number, and we'll get into that later, the actual number of whatever percentage allegedly he has not changed since the primary. And before the primary, John, they were saying that he was going to win in a complete landslide, right? He was going to crush everyone. He was leading by 50 points. And then the reality was his ceiling is 30% or less. That's Cuomo's ceiling. Am I right or am I wrong?
No, you're 100% right. I mean, and even Jim Walden, when I pushed him when he came on the show the other day, I pushed him on the polls, and he couldn't answer. And then he's like, "Oh, I don't trust the polls, but you know, you gotta look at the polls." And then the one poll he mentioned, that was it was the X poll. I forget, the Harris X poll. Where Sliwa was at 23%. That was like one that was more of a legitimate, not a Cuomo push poll. Cuomo, like the polls, first off, these are all garbage. The majority of these are likely voter polls. They're 400 people. Who's a likely voter? Where do you live? If you're in Arizona right now and there's no chance in you voting in the New York City election, you're a likely voter. They could poll you. So it gets skewed whatever way. And this is how these campaigns play on the low information vote and change the narrative of how only Eric Adams could beat Mamdani to now Cuomo can only beat Mamdani. But those polls are all trash.
I said this in the beginning. See, the Harris X poll, I'm going to tell you, I know who actually did that. That money was from a guy who has a lot of money. They're a little conservative, but the money was spent in that the person that actually did it in an even way. Not to mention too much, that person has gotten presidents elected. That was the most legit poll you're going to see. And that was at a time when you saw Eric Adams involved. And there's other ways that they're doing polls now where they're polling people every night after midnight. And in this poll, Cuomo continuously is losing and Sliwa continues to gain. And I believe in this, John, is that a vote for Curtis Sliwa voter, will never vote for Andrew Cuomo for the very reasons that we're mentioning, and I'm gonna show people, versus the Cuomo voter who they're limited in where they're at, and he has nowhere to go. Who's he gonna take from? Because if Curtis Sliwa wasn't in the race, John, the Curtis Sliwa voter is not voting for Cuomo. You're gonna have a super majority of people just sit at home or write in Curtis's name. So this whole pretend, if Sliwa leaves, that 20% in the poll that they're claiming, which is not 20, goes to Cuomo. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. That's Bill Ackerman talking, or whatever his name is, Bill Ackman. The guy's a billionaire, lives in a fancy place, is surrounded by security guards, I don't know when's the last time he took a train. He's not at risk of getting jumped by some thug in the street. So he's talking from his almighty castle. And people who are afraid and have been victims of crime, who they're going to vote for next is going to matter to them. So he's saying that Cuomo's going to get all of Curtis's vote. He has never run for office. He's got a lot of money. He knows hedge funds. I won't tell him how to do hedge funds the way he shouldn't tell me how to vote for. I mean, I don't know how you see it, John. That's how I see it.
Look where we're at in this country right now. Cuomo was literally the villain of the left in 2020. He was the villain of the left. And now you have Republicans sitting there telling you need to vote for the Democrat who lost the Democratic primary, who was the biggest villain New York has ever seen. And they're telling you need that guy to save you. Go away from the Republican candidate who could actually win this election. Vote for the Democrat, and let's keep our fingers crossed that this time he wins, even though he just got destroyed in the Democratic primary. And people are buying this. Like, it's like, dude, it's like waking up into the Twilight Zone. Looking at my phone in the morning, looking at my messages, talking to people. It's like I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. I'm like, what are you talking about? You just were telling me 2 weeks ago that Eric Adams was the only one with a shot, and now you see you were totally wrong. And again, everybody laughed when we were saying that. They were all laughing at us. They're laughing at us right now, saying that Andrew Cuomo has no shot. But at the end of the day, they're the ones that are going to be crying because Zohran Mamdani is going to be the mayor, because what they did is they brought the spoiler candidate up, they split the vote in New York City, and they got Zohran Mamdani elected.
That's essentially what they've done. And for people, just so you realize, the primary that was run, not only did Cuomo get destroyed in a field of like 12 people, right? It was Cuomo finishing second by 10%. He got destroyed by Mamdani one-on-one. One-on-one, he got destroyed. And he has done nothing and has said nothing policy-wise to change this. And we were just showing a graph on the screen about Trump, right? So somehow President Trump, who the last guy he endorsed is gone, Eric Adams. So now if he's endorsing Cuomo, don't expect him to stay too long, because in New York City, Donald Trump as a president has about a 33% approval rating, slightly better than Eric Adams. Anything he says, the opposite, the people will vote opposite. In New York City, whether people want to admit it or not, Trump is despised. So if he says something, New York City will super majority go the other way because they don't like him. They just want him to stay quiet or stay out of New York City business. So, but he can't because he's a real estate guy. So they ask him, Errol Lewis talks to him, ask him about Trump. Or I don't know how Trump comes up in this conversation because he's running for mayor. So let's see what he had to say.
People say President Trump is tough to figure out. He's not that tough to figure out. He tells you exactly what he's going to do. They want Mamdani to win. 2 reasons. One, it would be great Republican politics. They could run all over the country, all over the state. These Democrats have lost their mind. They elected a socialist, communist, 33, has no experience, hates the cops, hates business. It would be a political bonanza. Number 2, it would be a total justification for President Trump to come in here and say, I have to protect New Yorkers against this 33-year-old who has no idea what he's doing. It would be President Trump and Mayor Trump. And he would love to take over New York City.
John, it's funny he mentions that because I think he took over New York City when he let Eric Adams off the hook, right? So what the hell is he talking about? Why is he bringing up President Trump, John?
He just told you the game plan. Like what he said about Trump is what he should have said about Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo tells you exactly what he's going to do. So he's 100% right. He's 100% right. The Republicans want Zohran Mamdani, which is why they were pushing Eric Adams, who was at 0%, and trying to get him up to split the vote. When they realized he couldn't get enough, now they've moved over to Andrew Cuomo. So what they're doing is Fox News, Newsmax, the New York Post, all of your conservative influencers that get paid $7,000 a post, all of those guys, all of those Midwest guys who know nothing about New York City politics, the same ones that told you that Eric Adams was going to win, they're now telling you to get behind Andrew Cuomo. Why? Because they want Zohran Mamdani to win. Why? Andrew Cuomo just told you it's going to be a political bonanza. They're going to fundraise around it. They're going to grift around it. You see all the grifters in New York City, right? Everybody has these walk away campaigns. They all walked away from the Democratic Party. All of them. What are they telling you? Are they telling you to vote for anyone? No, we're going to beat Mamdani, right? What are they doing? They're fundraising. They're not trying to help anyone. They're not trying to help any political candidates. They have zero plan. All they're doing is fundraising. That's what the next 4 years will be like under a Mamdani. The Republican grift will kick in, and most of you idiots are buying it.
Yeah. The conservative influence thing, there's someone in the comments here, K1 Calendar said the other conservative influences, not like you guys, but everybody else is kind of not really honest, and they want to be trending, so far more trending. That's kind of what's going on here, and And also they doubled down another comment saying influenced by socialism. Cuomo, you're influenced by socialism. The only thing about it that you move with that is the only reason you only move. Well, I guess they had more to say, but like I understand what they're trying to say with that. He kind of is Cuomo's kind of hedging his bet, and he knows that he's the spoiler candidate because he can't win. All right. And again, him bringing up Trump and mentioning out a Republican, the Republicans want him. They want someone in because they want Mamdani to win. They're not, I don't see how are they helping Curtis right now?
They're not.
They're not. Daniel Krasinya's in the chat. He's helping out Curtis. He said Cuomo is the Ross Perot of this race. He's not even running a real campaign. He's obviously working with Mamdani. People were saying Eric was. Eric only works for himself. He only anything to benefit Eric Adams will do. Him sticking around gave him a little bit of relevancy. But now that he's gone, right? Cuomo is clearly in cahoots with Mamdani. And him even bringing up Trump, and he's talking about the Republicans, who they want. He's partially correct in that the Republicans need Mamdani to win because in the midterms, how do you think Trump could possibly get anything passed with the re-election in midterms, meaning all the Republicans in Congress and the state and the Senate? They're going to say, have you seen New York City? Look at the mayor there. You want that in whatever district you're in? Because what are they going to run on? They're not even in Congress right now. Half of them, they can't pass a bill to fund the government right now. The government shut down. So what do you think they have to run on? They want to point to Mamdani as the New York City mayor and that he's a failure somehow when we don't even know well, I'm going to point to some things, how he's governing as a state assemblyman, but you don't even know. He's not even the mayor yet, John. This is asinine, their logic of going forward. And they're not helping Curtis at all, who's the Republican candidate for mayor.
Well, because they gave up on New York City. That's the real thing. Is like the Republican Party gave up on New York City. Look at what the right's doing. Look at what they're doing right now. They look exactly like the left of 2020, right? They're into cancel culture. Mm-hmm. They want to control speech. And what do they want to do? They're fear-mongering the same way, and we're going to talk about it in a little while, the same way that Andrew Cuomo fear-mongered in 2020 to control everybody. It's the same thing that the right wants to do in New York City. They want to fear-monger around Zohran Mamdani. Andrew Cuomo, I just want to back up again with what you said because it's 100% true. Andrew Cuomo, rich as a party, who was a Frank Carone, Adams guy that just switched over. Right
Maria
now,
DeRosa.
They're just on. All they're doing is they're eating off that campaign money. This is a grift right now. They know Cuomo has no shot, but they're gaslighting you. New York City, you people need to wake up. You're voting. A vote for Cuomo is a vote for Mamdani. It's that simple.
Yep. Essentially, he can't win. He's got his ceiling is what it is, and he might even lose people because people detest him. They detest this guy. By the way, he's cost $60 million in legal fees for all his, sexual harassment. It's funny because we have people defending him. They say they're for they're for the victims of sexual harassment and assault, yet they're saying, no, we're going to vote for Cuomo. He's great. Shows you what kind of a grift is really going on out there. And right there, some of the money, it says right, some of the money, almost $18 million, according to DeNoblie's office, which is the state comptroller, paid for private lawyers to defend Cuomo and his top advisors in civil sexual harassment cases. They already settled one that cost them two of them that cost $1 million, plus the 60 to defend the guy. And yet these people want to actually vote for him. This guy's cost you $61 million in total. Right now, there's going to be more because those cases are still pending. And we're talking about voting for him. And the worst part, John, is people that are allegedly advocates for women of sexual assault and harassment and are saying, no, we got to vote for Cuomo. He's the only hope. But what about his problems? Are we going to ignore that? So clearly, when you want to say something to advocate for people, you use it to grift. And then when you don't want to use it because you're grifting on the other end, being Cuomo's people, oh, no, there's nothing to see here. Don't worry about that.
No, dude, and then even when you look at the whole COVID thing, I mean, the guy's under criminal investigation right now by the DOJ for lying in front of the COVID Select House Committee, and like so he's actively under criminal investigation. People that were in nursing homes that had family in nursing homes, they blame him for the deaths. People that were in outpatient facilities that were shut down, dialysis, cancer treatments, those people died. Like thousands and thousands of people died as a result of Andrew Cuomo's policies. And there are people that were literally saying, I will never vote for this guy. This guy needs to go to jail. Now saying, hey, he's better than Mondani. And it's like, well, I don't know how you're making that assessment. And you're actually voting for him. So you're ensuring that Mondani wins, because Andrew Cuomo has no shot. He already proved that to you in the Democratic primary,
which had more voters than the previous 4 or 8 years. And if that's the voter turnout, then, you're in trouble, because he got about 550,000 votes, Mamdani. And to get elected last time, Eric Adams had less votes to win the actual general election. So the numbers don't add up for Cuomo. And I could see, because I saw someone in the comments actually mention this, and Hood Mayor NYC makes a good point. He says they threw a nobody assemblyman in and blew him up with free buses and government grocery stores. Same month, Mamdani poll numbers exploded, the start of AOC talk for president. So it's like a jointed effort, or it's one giant plan, right? It's the plan of that whole DSA working party that they're going to combine off of Mamdani and AOC. But speaking of his policies, right? So now Cuomo in this Errol Lewis interview is asked about Zohran Mamdani's policy. So let's see what he has to say.
The proposals that Mamdani puts forward will accomplish nothing, or they will be a negative. Government-run grocery stores is frankly a dumb idea. They tried it in Kansas City. It didn't work. Free buses for rich people and poor people? Why should I pay your bus fare? $700 million cost to the MTA, more than we just raised from congestion pricing. Affordable housing, freeze the rent on 25% like de Blasio, and it failed? No.
Interesting, because I think he's giving a lot of word salads, because I don't know what his home policies are or anything. It's basically, vote for me. I'm not this guy, but what do you have? Kind of like Joe Biden and Donald Trump 5 years ago, when I'm not Trump. So, and if somehow the guy won, I don't know how, he wasn't even campaigning. I haven't heard what he's going to do different than what Mamdani. Well, Mamdani would what we mentioned in the past with the free buses and all this stuff. So the government-run grocery stores are technically going on right now and were implemented by Eric Adams. That's number one. The free buses wouldn't even work, because that's been suspended in Kansas City, and I think it would need approval from the governor. So you would have to go through all these other steps just to ensure something. A lot of stuff that Mamdani's saying will never be approved. It's going to have to go through state steps, and he knows this as an assemblyman, or does he? Because he's only voted on like 3 or 4 bills. So what do you think about what he said there, John?
So, look at what he's talking about, right? One, the guy who's running for mayor in New York City, he doesn't understand that New York City already has government-run grocery stores. He's talking about how the free buses and the free trains don't work, and how the rich won't pay. Well, I kind of agree with him, but if you look at New York City right now, only the people that work and follow the law pay for it now as it is. The buses and trains are free for those who don't want to pay for it. And they don't. They just walk right on. They hop the turnstile. Absolutely nothing happens as a result of flouting the fare, right? So that's gone. When you look at Zohran Mamdani, who said that he wanted to legalize prostitution, drive around New York City. Prostitution's legal. Go to Roosevelt Avenue. Go to downtown Brooklyn. Go drive around. Drive around in all the desolate areas, all the desolate warehouse areas. There's prostitutes everywhere. I put out a video a month ago when I was in New York City. Disgusting. And it's everywhere. So it's not being enforced there. And then when you look at what the news today is, oh, well, Zohran Mamdani is going to empower the CCRB board. What do you think the CCRB board would look like under Andrew Cuomo? I'll tell you, it's going to look just like his parole board looked.
Yeah.
It's going to be people that support cop killers, people that put criminals first, and it's disgusting. There's only one plan for something different to happen, for Mamdani not to win. It's either Cuomo needs to drop out and endorse Curtis Sliwa for mayor, or every moderate, every Democrat, every Republican turns around and says, I don't want Zohran Mamdani. We're getting Curtis Sliwa in, and we get Curtis. That's the only way to victory. That's the only way Mamdani doesn't win. Those are the two ways. You got two ways. Either you switch your vote, Andrew Cuomo ends up with 200 votes, or that's it. It's over.
Yeah. Toon Surf said here, I saw a comment, it was pretty good here. Says if Mamdani gets in this CCRB bill they have in for a vote right now, will be redundant. He will install a PC that rubber stamps whatever CCRB says, and we will be screwed. And the PC is rumored to be Rodney Harrison. That is who is talking to certain people. He endorsed Mamdani. You don't find that to be like, I don't know if that's not like, glaring in your face right now that proves that, he's going to be a police commissioner if he won. So, and whatever you think of Rodney Harrison, he should have been maybe years ago been a police commissioner. He's been out of the game. That's why he went to Suffolk County. I don't know how people would feel in the police department. I'm sure in the first month they'll say he's great, and then you'll slowly start seeing things change, kind of like what we saw with everyone else in the last 4 years in the NYPD. So he would probably install someone who would just rubber stamp the CCRB things, because clearly Mamdani is not a public safety candidate, we'll say. He's kind of like the same mold of Bill de Blasio, who really could care less about what was going on in the police department.
Yeah, listen, he's definitely one of the names. I hear some other names getting thrown around, and the bottom line is this. Whoever works for Zohran Mamdani is a complete sellout, and they're going to sell out the rank and file of the NYPD. They're going to sell out public safety in New York City, and that's just what it is. I mean, I hate to beat around the bush with it, but, we're going to hear, oh, he was a good guy. Oh, he was the police. Like, nah, you're a sellout politician. Maybe you are the police, but you no longer are. Like, everyone's jockeying for positions in the Cuomo camp. It's disgusting. Meanwhile, there's one guy that actually supports cops. His name's Curtis Sliwa. No one knows it. And you see the idiots in the chat. John, it's the test. First of all, I'm not on testosterone. The only thing I take is creatine, and I take magnesium at night. And I have some coffee in the daytime, but that's about it. So it's not that. It's just the fact. The fact of the matter is the only person that could beat Zohran Mamdani is Curtis Sliwa. I'm telling you what the path is. No one else has laid out a path, right? You got Brandon Straka running around New York City right now saying, walk away, fundraising like crazy. He has no plan for you. I'm telling you the plan. You either get Cuomo to drop out, or you get every moderate, every person that doesn't want anyone but Mamdani. There's only one person other than Mamdani. It's called Sliwa. Cuomo can't win. I mean, we got to be realist about this.
Yeah. This is on screen, by the way. These are the bills that Mamdani, okay, he hasn't even voted on any of this stuff. You go on his assemblyman page, which I suggest everyone does today. Tell me where you see him voting for anything. Look at these bills. Absent. He doesn't vote for anything. He doesn't know how to do this job. He's not a politician. He's an activist. Okay. And I'm going to get to later on something that he wants to push, not only as the mayor, but something he proposed in the state, in the state assembly, that he's very adamant about, that I don't know what good it'll do in New York City, but you can tell right here of stuff that he doesn't like. He doesn't know what's going on. I mean, look at the bills that he doesn't show up for. These are important bills, and he is nowhere to be found. He represents an entire district, yet he's too big and important to vote for the people of his district, because he's a big shot now. So he's not a real politician. That's the whole point. He's just an absentee politician. He's voting. He's doing this for clout, whatever it is, whatever the agenda is. That's what he's running for. He's running to be the poster child of some agenda, but he actually doesn't know the job. And the same thing was said about who? Bill de Blasio was exactly the same way. Only this guy will be Bill de Blasio on steroids. But if you remember, Bill de Blasio didn't come to work. He was asleep. And the police department, he really didn't care what was going on there. He had a couple of good, he started off with Bratton, and then everything went south with O'Neill and Shea. But you didn't have all the scandals, right? Because they kind of did a better job of trying to keep everything in-house and not being as corrupt as Eric Adams has been. So in that retrospect, he wasn't as bad as people portray him to be. But as he governed the city, he was atrocious. He was atrocious, Bill de Blasio. And I see Mamdani in the same light. I mean, that's what I see. I see Bill de Blasio 2.0 on steroids.
I honestly think he's going to be much worse than de Blasio. I don't even think he's as competent. It's literally like making the bartender a congressperson. He's the male version. It's exactly what it is. He's the male version of AOC. Like, he was a rapper. He was messing around with the Lion King. He was helping his mother write parts in movies that she was producing. I mean, the kid's really got no experience. He obviously doesn't care about politics. You see his voting record. He's not there. He's absent the entire time. And that's what it is, and why is he nationally known now? It's, why? It's because of the Republicans. They gave this kid national notoriety overnight, the same way they did with AOC. They literally prop up their own enemies. Like, the chances AOC has to be the president. Very good. You know why? Thanks, Fox News. And you know why the chances for Zohran Mamdani to be the mayor is? Thank Fox News.
He was an actor. I mean, you can see a comment right now about Keywin Callan about talking about him he was an actor, and he was part of some radical queer movement or something, whatever that means. But this guy is an actor and is very his family is involved in the movie business. His is what he said. What I would do is ensure that the recommendations of the CCRB be understood to be the final voice of the question of accountability. That's what Mamdani said, pointing to any actual bad results of the current law, which gives final say to the police commissioner. He's gonna do whatever he can to take that away, meaning the police commissioner's final say. That's scary, but you could kind of see that was coming, depending on whoever. Anyone who's not a Republican winning, becoming mayor again, which, you have a strong chance because you have Republicans wanting Democrats to control New York City instead of trying to salvage it. So, Ice Raid News says there are groups planning a destruction campaign. They say they will spare the Empire State Building and the Chrysler Building. I'm pretty sure there is some kind of crazy radical group out there that they follow this guy, Mamdani. They think that Mamdani would be better for them. Who knows? I'll tell you one thing, John. Bill de Blasio, who was viewed as a radical, right? These people that were protesting in the streets were also screaming against him and trying to do things to Gracie Mansion. So they really, radical groups don't care who's in charge. They're there to change the world in their view. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happened with Hitler, right? He weaponized all the radicals, and then he killed them. They were the first people he killed because he knew they couldn't be controlled. So like that's what happened. Obviously, we're not doing that in modern day age, but like that's what happens. You ride them to victory, and then they turn on you. That's usually what happens. And the same thing will happen with a Mamdani campaign, with the Mamdani mayorship, and hopefully we don't see that. But back to the CCRB board, I wrote an article the other day. Listen, that's coming. City councils more than likely going to vote on it to change the charter. You have state assemblyman Kevin Parker, who the PBA donated to, the Guardians Association president Pat Gordon donated to. And what he said, he wrote the bill. He wrote the bill that they want the board to have final authority, CCRB board. So whoever you vote for, it doesn't matter. You're getting that. So, but here's the difference if you vote for a Curtis Sliwa or if you vote for Zohran Mamdani or an Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo's CCRB board will look like his parole board. It'll be all radicals. Zohran Mamdani will be all radicals. Right now, as it sits, Eric Adams doesn't have the CCRB board properly staffed, so the board is filled with radicals that outweigh the vote. But in a Sliwa administration, you have 15 members of the CCRB. You have one chair at the top that's appointed by both the mayor and the city council, right? But the mayor has the leadership there. Then you have 5 members mayoral appointees. You have 5 city council appointees. You could assume those are all radical. You have 1 appointee from the public advocate. You could assume that's going to be a radical, right? And then you have 3 police commissioner appointees who could have law enforcement experience. So on that 15-person board, if you have a pro-public safety mayor, you outweigh the radicals on a 9-6 vote. So it's very simple. This is why the board has so much control. This is why even now under Eric Adams, what you're seeing CCRB investigators say, yo, that cop did nothing wrong. But the board is turning around saying, no, we want him terminated because of Eric Adams, because he has 4 seats empty. He has 4 seats empty. He doesn't even have a chair. And even his appointments were pretty radical. And one of the police commission appointments isn't even there. So what are you doing, Jessica Tisch? So everyone's freaking out about the CCRB board. Where the hell have you been for the last 10 years when we've been talking about this? Well, the union's crying about it. Pat Hendry's getting quoted in the Post about it. Where is he to weigh in on this mayoral election? Nowhere.
Oh, yeah. He knows he's afraid of endorsing anyone, because if he goes against the presumed Democratic nominee, the presumed leader right now, which should be Mamdani, and he wins, he's afraid he's going to crush him. No more late night rides in the special limousines for Pat Hendry. They'll come to an end probably. But it's funny. Dino says, Sal, John Catsimatidis now strongly urging Sliwa to drop out. John Catsimatidis is another part of the problem. I'm sorry. I like the radio station. His show is nice. Some of his views are nice, but he's wrong. He is allegedly a Republican, but he is in bed with Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo, and only because he has a ton of real estate, and the both of them will. Eric, who was okay in anything he wanted, Cuomo will okay anything he wants. Mamdani will be a stretch because Mamdani represents the other side, the DSA, the working family, and Catsimatidis isn't friends with those guys. So you're just going from one billionaire class to the other. He's obviously going to be cut out. That's what he's worried about. So Curtis, who won't be doing him favors, Curtis is a guy that can't be bought, won't be bought, and does what's right for the people, which is what everyone in here should want, versus Cuomo, who's going to do exactly what John Catsimatidis wants, what Steve Witkoff, who I don't know where he lives. This guy, apparently, he might be the de facto president of the United States, apparently. Whatever he wants, what Bill Ackman wants. But he's not going to do what you want. You people in the chat, you people watching, you're the little people. You're like a little ant on the farm. Go do your work. Go do your job. That's all you're meant to do. While the rich people divide all the spoils. But it's funny because going back to Cuomo, the final video I was going to play of him on Errol Lewis is he talks about David Dinkins, which is, I don't know why he brought up David Dinkins, because David Dinkins was the worst mayor ever in New York City prior to Eric Adams. So let's see what he has to say.
More police, because crime is a problem. I want to add 5,000 police, go back to the David Dinkins, safe streets, safe cities. And 5,000 police, 1,500 in the subways, and the affordability issue, build, baby, build. Build housing, create jobs, create apprentice programs. Let people see signs of success.
John, I don't know what he means. That program, one of the few good things that Dinkins did was safe, but that was funded by Bill Clinton, actually. So the safe streets and the clean hallways and those signs that used to be on the housing or regular buildings and like Crown Heights from the 90s, some of them might still be there. I remember seeing them all the time. But that program, though, came due to what happened with the Supreme Team with the rub out of Officer Byrne. That's what happened. That's why that all happened. The crack epidemic, the crackdown on that. That was kind of like the initiative, we'll say, from the government that started, and then it led to the 94 crime bill. So Dinkins benefited that he was able to get the funding, and also Ray Kelly was the police commissioner. I don't know, people forget about that one. So David Dinkins then brought in Ray Kelly, who started. That's how they got 40,000 people. But he's looking to hire 5,000 people, John. We don't even know where they will go because the attrition on the job is, I'm sure there's more people running out the door right now than more than ever. So 5,000 would be a low number. You probably need to hire more. And I also believe you should be hiring more civilians to fill in the roles that on-duty, full-duty officers are doing at 1PP. You got the Fluff Kaz Daughtry unit. You got John Shell has 5 or 6 different drivers. I don't know why. All these things are part of the problem why precincts are short. And all these units like DCPI had 80 cops in it, some special unit they had. So all of these things are problems. So hiring more cops, yes, but not to backfill the fluff units. You would need them to go into precincts while hiring more civilians to eliminate the civilian positions. Because no, the admin lieutenant doesn't need 2 females as his secretaries. That's ridiculous. You're a pervert. So this kind of stuff has to stop. He's not talking about that. He's just saying, I'm gonna do what David Dinkins did. So I'm throwing something against the wall and hoping that it sticks. Isn't that what it sounds like, John?
But the thing is, he can't do what David Dinkins did, because when David Dinkins was the mayor, there were thousands and thousands of people lining up to take the NYPD test.
That's true.
People waited years and years and years to get that job. Now they'll pull you up off the street. They'll shave. If you're homeless on the street, they'll give you a haircut, throw you in the shower, and give you a gun and a badge. They're starving for candidates. And what's Andrew Cuomo's plan for public safety? He has no idea. He's not a New York City guy. This is a Mount Vernon, Westchester person.
Southampton. Don't forget Southampton.
Or he's in the city, in the foo-foo parts of the city, Soho and Midtown. This guy doesn't know. When was the last time he was in the Bronx, Brooklyn, other than during this campaign? Never. The guy doesn't go to places like that. He's never even been to Bay Ridge. You know, the guy's a phony. So, the thing is, he has no plan to actually revamp the New York City Police Department. He's going to double down on the Eric Adams cronies. And the police department is going to go the same exact way. The CCRB is going to continue the same exact way. Public safety is going to go the same exact way. But really, Sal, all this is imaginary, because Andrew Cuomo is never going to be the mayor, even if Curtis Sliwa drops out. If Curtis Sliwa drops out today, Andrew Cuomo will be doing a radio station on 7070. He's not going to be the mayor of New York City. He knows it. Everybody knows it. The only people that don't know it have not been paying attention to this mayoral race.
No, they just want to listen to the Benny Johnsons of the world. Like, he knows what's going on. You know, those kind of Midwestern influence. Someone who lives like in the middle of the country and has no ties to New York City at all, never lived there, didn't spend their life there, didn't work in New York City, didn't work for the New York City government. You're talking like you know Andrew Cuomo personally. This guy, by the way, 5 years ago, every night was railing at President Trump, their leader, their deity, and they have no problem. It's like everyone just forgets that happened. Do you remember that, John? He was on national TV with his brother, with Chris Cuomo, with the fake. They had the Q-tips. They tried to shove it up his nose. They were blasting President Trump every night. Now we're supposed to believe he's best friends with Trump. After 5 years ago, the only rating CNN ever got was Cuomo blasting President Trump over how he handled the pandemic. Meanwhile, John, didn't he have a ship out there on 42nd Street that was just be like a hospital for people that had COVID, and only 3 people ever made it on that ship, I believe. He had a ship. He had everything he needed. He wanted. He kept crying about.
Trump sent the ship millions of dollars to house to have the leftovers that could get treatment, to spill over from the hospitals that couldn't deal, and he wouldn't put one person on that. And then the other thing that people forget about is they set up all these other makeshift hospitals. They used the Jacob Javits Center. They used Miller Field in Staten Island. They had one in every borough. Millions and millions of dollars. You know how many patients it saw? 0. You know why? Because Andrew Cuomo wanted to play politics, and he didn't want it to look like that Trump helped New York City or New York in any way. Absolutely disgusting that people forget. He let people die because of politics. It's absolutely disgusting.
I remember that. I was there for that. So the hospitals were full. Trump gives them all these tools that he asked for, everything he wants, and then there's nobody there. So essentially, Cuomo rather have people die to prove a political point than to actually do what he's been elected to do and what's right for humanity, actually. Like, you have a soul. I don't think he does. He's like a machine at this point, Cuomo. Everything that was good about him left a long time ago. I can't believe people don't remember this. I remember it like it was yesterday because I used to have to drive by this ship, and I saw there were government workers there letting people in and out. So, we could have, we were in the police department. We want to go in there, we could, but there was no one there other than police and government officials. So there wasn't any patients going in there, which means Cuomo was the one that said, I don't want anyone in there because he wanted to go on CNN and bash Trump. And now he's talking about Trump and he's talking to Trump, and Trump has enough. I mean, at 80 years old, maybe his mind is going and he talks to this guy. This guy embarrassed him on national TV nightly. And the only reason Cuomo wrote a book, the only reason he has any relevance, Andrew Cuomo, was because of CNN, because they kept pushing him out there until someone said he touched me, and all of a sudden, we can't be involved with that guy.
It's disgusting, dude. And Lukash brings up the whole ventilator thing too.
Yeah,
I mean,
the ventilators,
all the PPE we spent. I think it was $80 million in PPE and personal protective equipment. And what recently, after he resigns from office before he's impeached over all the sexual scandals that break out, is they find all this stuff in boxes unused. $80 million just sitting wasted. But I bet some people he knew got paid real nice, like probably five to seven times what the actual products cost. And that's okay. So now all that stuff rotted. People could have used that again. And everyone just wants to repaint this guy as like he's somebody that has like a spine or some type of morality or any type of competence. I mean, like him and again, like when I look at Bill de Blasio, when I look at Eric Adams, and when I look at Andrew Cuomo, I know that anything in this world is possible because these are three highly incompetent individuals and they rose to the positions that they were in. And it should really make us sit there and think, these are our leaders. These are the people we elected to serve us. I mean, they're the worst of us.
He is the worst. I mean, Peter Paolo says, if you died from a stroke but tested positive for COVID, it was written as COVID death. That was another grift. Because Marlon mentions the whole thing was one large grift.
Yep.
Essentially, that's what happened, folks. And a lot of people, you have a short-term memory. A lot of people, low information. They can't think past 5 seconds. So it's kind of like that. What was that movie, 50 First Dates with Drew Barrymore, where every morning she forgot what she did the day before because she had an accident? These New York City voters, they didn't even have an accident. They just forget in the morning what happened the day before. So all of this is outside their memory. But I remember it vividly because I remember having to patrol the streets during this lockdown and the laws and stuff that he implemented, like the mask, all that stuff. That was all him. It all came from him. There was no reason to do that. He says, believe the science, trust the science. And then he turns around and goes, by the way, you need to stay home. You don't have any rights. And it's funny because the next video I'm going to play for you, that's exactly what he was doing because he wanted to take away your freedom. So let's hear him. This is Cuomo on the religious freedom.
Seen that a few weeks ago, there was a very secret Hasidic wedding where 7,000 to 10,000 people attended, completely maskless. And I'm just wondering your reaction to this. Will there be consequences? And what's to stop this from happening over the holidays?
If that happened, I heard the report. If that happened, it was a blatant disregard of the law. It's illegal. It was also disrespectful to the people of New York. The law protects everybody. It protects you, but it also protects me. We went through this with weddings. We literally stopped the wedding a couple of nights before, which was going to be a very large wedding. If it turns out that because we stopped that wedding, the reaction was, well, we'll have a secret wedding, that would be really shocking and totally, I think, deceitful of the conversations that I had, because I had personal conversations with members of the community. But put that aside, I've been deceived many times. It's illegal. And the city should do a robust investigation. If 7,000 people went to a wedding, you can figure that out, right? That's the problem with the secret 7,000. It's hard to keep a secret. You know, they say the only way to keep a secret, tell no one. That's the only way to keep a secret. 7,000 people were there. It's going to be hard to keep that a secret.
John, that's absolutely disgusting. I do remember that moment, and they wanted to basically go and indict these people for having a wedding because he's saying, why did you all gather up and do that? What do you think? That's crazy.
I'll be honest. I'm still traumatized by that time, and like, you know, there's a lot of things here. One, you know, our country was founded on religious freedom. That was the basis of our country, and apparently Andrew Cuomo doesn't understand the United States Constitution.
No, he doesn't.
Clearly doesn't understand the First Amendment with religious freedom. So what he did was he shut down synagogues, he shut down churches, he shut down mosques. Now, you know, the only people at that time in New York City with balls were the Hasidics. They said, you absolutely can't keep me from my God. You can't keep me from my church. You can't keep me from religious ceremonies, and you're not keeping my kids out of playgrounds in the open air. And so they were defiant of Andrew Cuomo's rules, right? And I was in full support of it as a member of the NYPD. I was like, every community should be doing this because Andrew Cuomo, they're not violating the law. Andrew Cuomo's violating the law. He put a mandate in place. He didn't change law in this country where he could remove your ability to go pray, to go worship, to go have a ceremony. A marriage is a sacred ceremony. It unites two people before the eyes of God, and that is true for every religion. What Andrew Cuomo did was violate the law. Those people did nothing. I mean, and for people sitting here and saying, like, this was America 5 years ago that Andrew Cuomo created. And people saying, oh, like, what do you guys think should have been done differently? I think that he should have followed the United States Constitution. He shouldn't have shut down outpatients facilities. He shouldn't have weighed in on medical decisions. He should have left it up to the doctors. Why did our politics get in the way? Why did our politicians start dictating us what is health, what we could do? And look, all these protocols, all these restrictions, all of these things that happened, the people died anyway. People got sick anyway. They didn't keep us safe from anything. What should have happened is we should have lived like Americans and said, we're not going to live under tyranny. They had a secret wedding. Think about that, people. You ever watch Braveheart where they had to get married in secret? This is what was happening in this country. Disgusting. Yep. And I'm still traumatized by it. He honestly, and he should be held accountable just for that.
Yep. And you know, Chris Nailina said, I saw videos of cops arresting people if the people did not have a vaccine card and went into a restaurant under orders by Cuomo. That was happening. I saw a whole thing in Staten Island, and, you know, de Blasio had a piece of that also, ordering cops. But again, you're violating people's rights. You know, I just want this, and let's just say this. Juju said, millions of people got the jab and are doing fine. 1 or 2 adverse reactions doesn't mean the vaccine is bad. Juju, do me a favor. It's almost that season. Go get a few more of those jabs. In fact, get one every hour. Do us a favor, you know. So there's another video I was going to play that in regards to this also. And this one is the Cuomo lied and people died. So let's play this.
People died. People died. I was in a hospital. I got transferred to a nursing home, and my father died. My father was in a nursing home, got transferred to a hospital. My father died. People died. By the way, the same people are dying today. 96% of the people who die are older people with comorbidities, which happens to be the population that lives in nursing homes. It's continuing today, even with all the testing that we're doing. If you look at New York State, we have a lower percentage of deaths in nursing homes than other states. 1/3 of all deaths in this nation are from nursing homes. New York State, we're only about 28% only, but we're below the national average in number of deaths in nursing homes. But who cares? 33, 28, died in a hospital, died in a nursing home. They died. And
You know, John, that makes me sick watching it because if I remember correctly, his press conferences and all this every day with when he had them when he was governor, they had the highest ratings, and everybody was home, by the way, because of him. So that had the highest ratings listening to him talk like that, smug and insulting people. And he's never even been held accountable for any of this stuff. I know he went to Congress. Allegedly, there's some kind of investigation on him, but he's talking to Trump. So that's going to end up like Eric Adams anyway. You know, what are your thoughts on that? That's like despicable seeing that again, because I remember that was the highest rated thing on TV at that time in New York.
No, it's just, dude, he literally said people died. Who cares? People died as a result of his action. Who cares? That's what he said. That's what he said. Like, he has no remorse about it whatsoever. And he thinks that he did the right thing, you know? And so like there was a lot of things there, man. He basically demonized every community, but he really went in on the Hasidics, and he was really pushing like a disgust factor on them. He was really making people, because I don't know if you guys remember during that time, there were people driving around Borough Park yelling at the Hasidics, "Put your mask on." And it was because of the rhetoric that he was pushing out. And so now all of a sudden, you know, we start dropping these videos the last 2 days, and now all of a sudden he comes out and he's apologizing. Now all of a sudden he's sorry. Well, but he only apologizes to Jewish New Yorkers. Well, guess what? Catholics died, Muslims died, atheists died, Republicans died, Democrats died. Everybody died. Like, you shouldn't just apologize to Jewish New Yorkers. And what? You waited till election season? You waited 5 years, 3 weeks before the mayoral vote's about to happen, and now you decided you're sorry? The guy's he's a phony. He's a complete phony, you know. And then people forget he used his staff during this time while all these inept, incompetent, tyrannical, illegal policies were put in place. He used his staff to write his own book that nobody read. And you know what, Andrew? You know where you're going to be in a couple of weeks? You're going to be on John Catsimatidis' radio show with a radio show again that nobody listens to, just like nobody read your book, bro.
Not only that, you know, Dino's actually, you know, what was it here? I saw a comment about like it is says, I was in Fort Lauderdale and it was wide open. I remember Florida being open before. I wasn't living here yet, but it was open. And the reason you saw deaths, right, was because they were bunching in anything that people were dying about and saying that was what this was. Like, so you could go in and say, I have a staph infection, and then you end up in that wing, and then obviously you're going to get infected. You got problems. You got comorbidities. Oh, that's why he died. The pandemic. And that's what they were doing. Whereas no, this person came in with something completely different. So there was a lot of, hiding the ball here, you know, like you'd see the three hats and they're hiding the ball. That's what a lot of these people were doing. And you got paid to get paid for those debts, and nobody better than Cuomo doing that. Right. And it's this is the icing on the cake. So because of all this pressure and all these videos and all this talk online that we've been doing about Cuomo and his wonderful past, he decides yesterday he's finally going to apologize for it 5 years later. So let's hear the illustrious former governor of New York State.
My friends, as we approach Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year, we are reminded this is a time of reflection, of forgiveness, and of recommitting ourselves to do even better. That is true for all of us. And it's true for our leaders as well. During COVID, as governor, I made decisions with the best of intentions to protect health and save lives. However, I recognize that some of those decisions caused pain in the Jewish community because we did not always fully consider the sensitivities and traditions that are so deeply important. We could have done better, and for that, I am truly sorry. My intentions don't change the impact, and I sincerely ask for your understanding. On this holy day of atonement, I am committed to learning from these lessons. Today, Jewish New Yorkers face another challenge, the rise of anti-Semitism. It is real, it is dangerous, and it must be confronted. An attack on the Jewish community is an attack on every New Yorker, because we are one family, the family of New York. I stand with you 100%, always, not just in words, but in action. And I assure you this city will be safe, inclusive, and respectful for all. On this Yom Kippur, may we find the humility to learn, the strength to heal, and the hope for a brighter future. Gamar Chatima Tova. May you and your families be sealed in the book of life for a good and peaceful year. Thank you.
You look at the comments, John. Rob Lukash saying good use of a teleprompter, not sincere. His eyes are moving. He's reading something. This is as fugazi as as it gets.
Listen, in the name of Jesus, I rebuke you, Satan, to you, Andrew, because that was the most insincere thing I ever seen. He's literally, if you're truly sorry for something, I do speak in events a lot. I don't have a piece of paper with me. I mean, we do 3-4 hour podcasts. I don't have a piece of paper with me. Like, this guy's reading an apology. What does that say there? Yeah. And people are buying this. And then you people, like Jewish voters and black voters, I'm just going to say this, they vote against themselves consistently. This guy's pandering to you when you know why there was a huge rise in anti-Semitism? Oh, it was because of him. It wasn't even just because of his policies. It was because of his rhetoric. And like I always say, letting out all of these violent criminals, what do you get as a result of not policing crime? You get more violent crime. When you get more violent crime, what do you get more of? You get more hate crime. Why are you getting more hate crime in New York City? Oh, because of bail reform.
Yeah, Joe Ramirez has said this. So this is good. He said, John and Sal's argument is Cuomo's actions during the pandemic, particularly regarding the balance between public health measures and the preservation of individual liberties as U.S. citizens. Essentially, that's what we are arguing, but also New York State's paid $60 million in legal fees because he's a pervert, and actually 61 because there was a settlement of $1 million as well. So 2 settlements. So what are we doing trying to make this guy legit? Other than we know that he's going to do John Katz's bidding if he was the mayor. He's going to do Bill Ackman's bidding if he was mayor. So he's going to continue the Eric Adams grift. He's going to be in that Bitcoin real estate little circle. And you folks in the comments would think some of you think you're slick like Juju. He doesn't give a damn about you, much like Eric Adams doesn't care about you either. I know you want to. Juju likes to play the whole every day in the police department. I kick those crackers' ass. He likes that. That guy doesn't like you either, man. If you haven't noticed, Eric Adams only has done things for his own inner circle. He doesn't care. You had a woman writing a book about him. Okay, there's a woman.
I pre-ordered that one.
Yeah, writing a book about Eric Adams. So I have no idea. And basically, Juju's just a racist, to be honest. He's a black supremacist. Let's call him what he is. He seems to lean that way. I mean, I see a slight picture of him. He seems that he's black and he pushes his agenda. He'd be good in the 70s for the Black Panthers, because that's how the world will never come together. People like that, low information and totally like just out of this world with this stuff. And come December 31st, if they are working for the police department or whatever it is, you don't have a job anymore. I feel sorry for you. That's the last time I address you because it's just annoying that I don't know who has the time to be on every single show 24/7 and just say the same things over and over again. But apparently that person, whoever that is, or persons does. So now we making a case here about Cuomo. He can't, obviously he shouldn't be. No one should. If you vote for him, you really need to, do some soul searching. But Mamdani, right? We're showing that number one, he's been absent for a ton of votes. Number two, this CCRB thing, where it's gonna change for cops in the NYPD. Unfortunately, unless Curtis wins, this is what this guy's proposing. And if not, he'll probably just like we're stated in the show by people in the comments that he's going to end around the police commissioner to force them to just agree with everything he says. But he co-sponsored a bill, and the bill was for like transgender. It's for like to fund the transgender movement per se, to the tune of $50 million in the state. And as the mayor, he already pledged that he's going to give $65 million to gender affirmation, which is the same circle. I don't know what this push is for this stuff. Why is that even on the agenda for him? Who is he pandering to saying that? Because that is wild that you would spend over $100 million on stuff like that.
I mean, so he's pandering to his radical base, and that's and so what people don't understand is, like, Zoran is a young kid and he's an idiot and he's easily swayed, and so he's pandering to his base, his funders, his voters. He's saying, "I'm going to bring these in," and we're sitting here. What we're pointing out about Cuomo is exactly what you're getting with Mondani. Like, so the thing when we were talking about COVID, right? What did Cuomo do? Did he come up with those restrictions? Did he come up with anything? No, the guy's an idiot.
No.
They gave him this thing and they said, Andrew, you're going to do this. He's like, what am I going to do? I'm going to tell him there's a sandwich there. All right. Oh, yeah, they can't. Only a sandwich is food. Chicken wings aren't a food. Somebody gave that to him and he ran with it because he's weak. He's cowardly. He's not a leader, right? So that's what happens during COVID. He says, oh, forget the Constitution. My base is telling me I need to do this, so I'm going to do this. Same thing when you get bail reform, when you get discovery reform, when you get the repeal of 50A. Does anyone in their right mind here believe that Andrew Cuomo read through the bail reform bill? Does anyone believe he understood it? Does anyone believe he understood what removing qualified immunity or appealing 50A? Did anyone really think he sat there and thought about it? No. His radical base and his radical donors came to him and said, "We want this," and he's like, "Oh, okay." And that's what you see in Zoran Mondani. So, like, we're bringing up the past on Andrew Cuomo because it matters. You got guys like Jim Walden that are saying, no, it doesn't matter what he did then because he's saying the right thing now. It's like, no. It matters because it matters who you are when the pressure's on. The pressure was on during COVID. The pressure was on at the height of the George Floyd riots. The pressure was on then, and we see who Andrew Cuomo is. It's not who you are in times of convenience that make you, in times of ease and convenience. It's the times when everything's in your face, when the entire world's against you and you're saying, I'm not going to do this. I'm standing here like a tree, rooted in to my beliefs and my core principles and the laws of this country and what I believe to be true. And it doesn't matter how that storm goes. You're going to stand. Maybe the storm takes you, but you're going to stand. Andrew Cuomo is like a willow, bro. He just blows with the wind. Zoran Mondani, same thing. The kid's not even a socialist. He's going to do whatever he's told to do. So whatever bill you're getting with Zoran Mondani, you're getting those same bills with Andrew Cuomo. He's not holding the line.
Yep. And I'll tell you this, with I just don't know with this gender affirming stuff. You go, this is a small population of people that actually want this stuff to get passed. So you're actually appeasing these people, costing, I don't know, maybe 80, 90 something percent of the people are like, what the hell are we wasting money on? And there's less than 10% of these kind of people is, oh, that's a great idea. So you're wasting money throwing it into something like that. And there's not even, we don't even know what that is about anyway. And it's a small percentage of people that actually, and that includes that there's many, if you want to put this towards, I don't know, if you're saying that gay people want this, no, they don't. You're going to talk to them. They're like, what is this gender affirming thing? What are we talking about? Because if you are going to do this, you should pay for it out of your own pocket. I don't think a taxpayer should be liable for that. Kind of like in the military, they were doing the same thing. It's on you. You want to do it, go ahead. It's a free country, but you do it. Why does the taxpayer have to pay for this? It's like the taxpayer paying for Eric Adams' sexual assault cases and stuff. That's not on the taxpayer. It's on the individual itself. This is crazy. With Mondani, I don't agree with that. And if you want to do that, like I said, just pay for it out of your own pocket. You could do what you want. Look, Mondani decided gender changes for teenagers deserve this campaign's attention. Typifies his problem as a candidate in danger to the city. The problem with that is that you should, first of all, teens shouldn't be making that decision, but you should fund your own operation. It's simple. Imagine, John, I have a torn rotator cuff. You know what? The Fort Lauderdale or West Palm Beach taxpayers, they could fund that, right? That's what we're saying here. Essentially, I've never seen anything like this. I'm flabbergasted. The taxpayers paying for surgeries. What does that have to do with a taxpayer? How does this benefit a voter, a citizen that has real problems? So I'm paying for your stuff too now, on top of having to worry about my family going to work, paying bills. I'm paying for someone's surgery, whatever they're going to do to themselves, when they could just do it themselves. They have their own insurance company.
Again, these are highly incompetent people that are running our government, and they're being pushed by the elites, by their donors. They're just mouthpieces. Andrew Cuomo, Eric Adams, Bill de Blasio, every police commissioner that you could think of, they got somebody with their hand up their rectum doing this for them. They can't answer those questions. That's why, like, questions of violence. You know what I mean? Questions to them are like, oh, I mean, did you guys see Jim Walton the other day? I mean, that was disgraceful. That was like, I was disgusted, dude. I was like, what is this? Like, you don't even have a solid point to come on here and tell us why you voted for Cuomo. Why you endorsed him, why you were ever in the race in the first place. I mean,
can we show this?
I didn't know you guys had this, but yeah, disgusting.
Yeah, let's play this, because I saw this. I'm going to give you my take on Jim Walden, who's been on the show, by the way. He was on for almost 2 hours. He's been on John's show for over an hour. He was on the Executive Perspective. So I don't know how this turned into just a 10-minute hit for him, but let's see what he had to say yesterday.
We are where we are, and the numbers don't lie. And I wholly agree with you on the issue with respect to the polls, right? I've never been a guy that is believed in the polls, but you got to take something from the polls when they're so consistent over the course of time. There have been 10 polls since the Democratic primary, and they all basically say the same thing. So again, I think Curtis has run a great race. I think he's an amazing New Yorker. And, you know, again, if he was the front runner, I would have endorsed him instead of Cuomo. But if you believe the polls, even as taken as a whole, right? The only person that has a chance to beat him is Cuomo, and that chance evaporates if there's another candidate in the race that draws any more than a couple of percentage points.
You know, I'm going to say this right off the bat. Jim, nice guy, great history as a prosecutor, but when he first ran, what did I tell you, John? He'll be at 1% or less. As a politician, he's a complete novice. He doesn't know what he's talking about. That would show you exactly why. When Jim Walden was running, Jim, when you ran, were you saying vote for the front runner, or you're 1%? You want everyone to vote for you. Somehow you were going to beat the other 4. Now, because you dropped out for whatever reason, you're saying vote for the front runner, but the front runner is actually Mamdani, if you go by these polls. But you're saying to vote for Cuomo, and you can't pinpoint any reason why other than, oh, he's leading in the poll. So it's all about numbers to you. You were always about numbers, but you had 1% the whole time. So why did people donate to you and believe in you? This is how you step in, we'll say, on a banana politically, and why, you know, if you've never run for office, you need to take a crash course and have some good advisors around you. He talks nice. Like I said, he's a good talker. He's a lawyer, very well respected. He has a great career in that. But as a politician, I knew this would happen. That was atrocious. And the fact that you only did 10 minutes and couldn't defend Cuomo on anything shows how much political savviness or intelligence you have, because give us a reason why you're endorsing this guy. He's the lead guy in the polls. Okay, but he was leading you from day one. So how is it now? I don't agree with his policies, but he's the best for New York City. So then you're an entire fraud. Your entire campaign was a fraud, right? Because you're saying that he was always better than anything you had to offer. So why would people believing in you? This is a really dumb thing for this guy to say. I can't believe it. You know, and I gave this guy a chance. I like some of his policies, but apparently he was never going to enact them, because he was always going to say Cuomo was better, because it's only the numbers matter, John. So if you're running in a race and you're behind someone, allegedly, because these polls that are paid for by Bill Ackman's friends and company say so, then whatever you're doing doesn't matter. The guy on top of you might matter, and you're going to endorse that guy and say, no, I'm going to leave. Don't worry about all the people. I'm letting down all the people that supported me, and I'm just going to say support the guy that my own people hate. That's what he did yesterday. And it was 10 minutes. I was flabbergasted by that.
I mean, dude, he literally says, I break down. I'm like, oh, which polls? Like the polls that said that Cuomo was going to destroy Zohran Mamdani and then he won, or which ones? The ones that told you Hillary Clinton was going to be the president? And he's like, oh, I don't believe the polls, but you got to take something from the polls. Like, well, you've been saying the whole time you didn't believe the polls, and like honestly, the more I think about it, I'm like, wow, that was your average Cuomo voter. Like he did the Cuomo camp a huge disservice by coming on yesterday. One, it looks like it was all a setup. The whole campaign, the whole thing, the whole reaching out to us, getting with the whole freedom movement in New York City, getting with all the grassroots players in New York City. I think it looked like a whole setup to always turn around and endorse Cuomo. And that's what we were told from the beginning about him. Be careful about this guy. And that's what we were told. And then you see him, he comes on. His communication girl reached out like he's ready to come on and have like a long debate and talk about why he's going to do this. And I like Jim. So I'm like, yeah, why not? Eric's like, yeah, let's do it. You know, like we have people with opposing ideas all the time, you know? And then he comes in and he's like sitting there, like sunburnt skin, 13-foot ceilings on a pink couch. I'm like, where are you? And I'm on vacation. I'm like, so why'd you schedule to do this? I don't know. I was like, how long do you have? I got 10 minutes. I was like, you got 10 minutes? He's like, yeah. I'm like, wait, I was like, what, you came on here for 10 minutes to tell us about, yeah, how long does your show go for? I'm like, you've been on here like 7 times. You don't know how long our show goes for? So I just went because I was like, I had already put out the artwork and I already did that. And it was honestly, it was the worst showing I ever seen. And what was even worse is that like, I speak with people all the time, right? So do you, Sal. We talk to people that disagree with us often.
Yep.
He didn't make one point. He didn't even have a point. Oh, I don't know. It's the polls that I don't trust. Oh, okay.
I saw that, and again, all the running around he did and trying to skirt things. And the bottom line is, if he's in front of me, Jim, you cite numbers. Your numbers were atrocious from day one. You never, essentially, you had no shot to. You know how they say Curtis doesn't have a chance? No, Jim Walden never had a chance. The only way he would have a chance is everyone would have to give him a chance. But people were skeptical because of the rumors you just mentioned, that they said he was a plant by Cuomo, that he's a career prosecutor that never did anything politically. He just comes out of left field, and now you know, look what he's writing here. Like, he's running to fund the police after all. Duh, many of us believed him since he said it 100,000 times. If Cuomo and Sliwa don't unify, our goose is cooked. What is he talking about? His guy literally wanted to take money away from the police department. He puts in literally the worst people in the parole board, lets every cop killer out. This guy is, I don't know, other than it's like you said, the whole thing I'm saying is a fraud, you know? But again, he was brought to us by someone who themselves might be a fraud. So again,
good point. Good point.
You know, I'm all for giving people a chance and a platform and see what they got. But, you know, the way he sounded yesterday, a guy with 1% that was saying vote for me, but now you got to vote for the guy with the best numbers, when clearly, you know, at one point he was polling at the same amount that Mamdani was polling at. So what happened? Clearly nobody believed your message. You know, and he made the matching fund, so he did get money. I don't know from who. So who gave him that money? You know, who was giving his money to his campaign? And are they friends of certain people? And remember that Cuomo has plenty of money to throw around because he had money left over from when he was governor in the campaign tank. He had like $6, $7, $8, $9 million or something. So that's why he doesn't care about matching funds. He could care less. He could care less about that. So I actually want to get that. I see we have two things here. Snake Plissken gives 99 cents to the podcast. Shout out to Snake Plissken, who we could afford a cafecito later on that. So thank you for that one. And Eddie West gives $20 to the Sal Greco Show. Thank you for that one. There'll be plenty of cafecitos later on you. He says, good afternoon, brothers. What's, in your opinion, would a Sliwa administration look like in New York City? Could we see a return to normal in New York City? diaphragm law acts under executive order, qualified immunity restored candidates for PC. So what do you think about that, John? You can start.
So listen, the mayor sets the tone for New York City, right?
Correct.
Like, that's just what it is. Like, is he going to fix every single problem in New York City? No, not immediately, but the vibe of New York City will be a lot different. Crime will look a lot different. The police department's going to look a lot more cleaned up. I'm not going to talk about PC candidates. I'm not going to talk about anything like that, but I guarantee his candidate will be a knowledgeable law enforcement person with great knowledge and experience in the NYPD. Not a me, not a Eric Dim, not a Sal. We're talking high-level people that are lifelong New Yorkers, understand the nuances in the NYPD. You can't bring someone, even Keechant Sewell, even if she was the smartest person in the world, it's going to take her 2 years to learn the animal of the NYPD. You're going to have a common sense police department. You're going to have a police department that's not eating its own, that's not chasing you guys out, that's not overworking you 7 days a week. You know, you're going to have a legitimate police department that cares. Is it perfect? No. Is it going to be no more ordered overtime? No, of course. But it's going to go back to more of that Giuliani Bloomberg style of you will be supported in this administration. You will have a CCRB board that has common sense. When you mess up, you know, it will be the varying degrees of discipline, but they're not. Your head's not going to get chopped off as a result from it. And even with the crazy laws in city council, it matters who your mayor is. It matters who your PC is. And speaking of city council, like I know people were asking Athena Clark. She's close to matching funds. Please, if you could go to her website, donate to Athena Clark. Let's get her the matching funds. City council is just as important. We always say that it's the local that matters, so that it sets the tone. Curtis Sliwa has good people around him, people that understand the politics of the city, people that understand everything. Go through his platform, read it, understand it. You are getting, if anyone believes the dream that Andrew Cuomo could be the mayor, you're out of your mind, first off. He's never going to be the mayor. But let's just say you do believe that dream. His vision for New York City is no different than Zohran Mamdani's. Eric Adams' vision, we've been telling you from day one, this is a 3-card Mamdani. All roads lead to Mamdani. Whoever you pick, there's one different candidate. His name's Curtis Sliwa. That's it.
Yep. I think that so the diaphragm law, I don't know how you could get that axe. It's probably got to go through city council. If it is a state law, if it comes from the state, you'd have to go to Albany. But I can tell you one thing, Curtis would not be partying with Carl Hasty at Con Sofrito with a bunch of felons around, like total street level thugs, which is what Eric Adams was doing as mayor, and then act like they don't talk to him in Albany. But he's going to actually go to Albany, and he would go to city council and try to talk to these people. I know this firsthand. He will do what he has to do to try to change things as far as laws, whatever on the books. I don't think executive order will work because it get vetoed. It's not like the president's executive orders, which get challenged in court anyway. But that law, he will do what he can to go up to city council or the state legislators and see if he could change that. And he won't be partying with them and popping bottles and doing God knows what else they were doing, because that just shows you it's one big club. And you folk in the comments and watching and living in New York City, you're not in it. You're just not in it. You're not in it unless you're those people. I mean, Eric probably won't even answer that kind of a question anyway, but that's essentially the point. And I see where somebody here, Dino said, why is Margot Katsimatidis getting so emotionally involved by demanding the immediate exit of Sliwa from the race? I'm going to tell you why. It's all about real estate, bro. The real estate. John Katz has an empire, real estate-wise. Curtis Sliwa is not going to sit there and okay his stuff that basically could hurt taxpayers. He gets the benefits. He gets everything as he has funded the campaigns of Eric Adams and Cuomo and Hochul and de Blasio. That's why he never really ran for office. He never ran. He ran and it was like, how can I say this? It was like he put his little toe in the water and then got out of there real quick. Because he actually, if he wanted to fund his own campaign, who's going to stop him? He could probably win because he's got the money to do it, but he won't. Why? Because he'd rather control these people from the outside. So if his wife is going on there on top of him, screaming for Curtis Sliwa to drop out. That's all you need to know. And listen, there's only a few people I even listen to in that station. Number one is my friend Roger Stone. I do listen to Roger. You know, obviously he's my friend. I could, you know, I was out with him a couple of nights ago with his family and my family. So that's one guy I'm going to listen to. I listen to Dominic Carter. And Dominic is a little harder on Curtis, but they're very close friends behind the scenes. I just want you to remember that. But Dominic Carter has been in New York City politics covering it for decades, at least 3 or 4 decades. He's one of the most honest people I know. Those two shows, it's a must listen to. Now when we get to other people, I don't know. Anthony Cumia is good, but he's once a week when he should be more. Lionel, very good at night. He took over for Frank Morano, very funny guy, very pro Curtis, by the way. So these are people I would listen to, but these other people seem to have agendas. I don't know why John, and what is. I mean, he has him on the show, right? He has John. John sits across Curtis, then does a show. And how awkward is that when you know that he doesn't want him to win? That is like, I don't know what to say. I don't even know if I could sit down and be with somebody who allegedly employs me, but at the same time is trying to hurt me, right? Because that's what he's doing. See, Snake Plissken, another $4.99 to the Sal Greco Show. Thank you for that. I'm probably going to have heart palpitations after this from the Cafecito. Said, if the polls show Sliwa has no chance, will the podcast change direction? No. We report on the news. We give you exclusives. And although if Curtis was to lose, it doesn't mean that we go, whether he wins or loses, no one's leaving. No one's changing. There's always going to be something, right? But we do want Curtis to win, you know? Oh, Chris Nalina said, did Cats give even one dime to Sliwa's campaign? I believe the answer is no. You heard about that, John? I don't think he's giving him anything.
Nah, he did. He had a fundraiser for Sliwa in the Hamptons. I don't know if you remember a few weeks back.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He had that fundraiser. So, yeah, John, listen, the one thing about Katzmatidis, he donates to everybody's campaign. If you want to run for office, you go give him a call, donate to your campaign. Like, you know, he does donate to everyone's campaign, but I believe that he leans left. And just to go back on the polls one more time, because I think people are confused by these polls. These polls are funded by the candidates.
Mm-hmm.
So I said it yesterday. I've been telling the Sliwa campaign they should be doing polls, right? Because what are they? They're 400-person likely voter polls. Curtis has too much integrity. He's like, they're bullcrap. I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. And so that's the problem here is like, you know, the problem here is people bite on the low information. Oh, the polls show. The polls don't tell you anything. They're not real. I could generate a poll right now, 400 users. I could take all your names right now. We vote right here. I could say you're all likely voters. I polled 831 people, which is double what all of these polls are, right? So we got more people on here right now than all the polls you're talking about. So I could poll all of you. I write a little star at the bottom. I say you're likely voters. And you guys all say that you're voting for Curtis Sliwa, 99% of you. Is that an accurate poll? Absolutely, it's not. Some of you don't live in New York City. Some of you don't vote. Like it doesn't matter. Like the polls are not being done accurately. Polling in this country is a problem. The 2016 Trump election proved that the polls were garbage. Right? There was a 99% chance Hillary Clinton was going to be the president.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Even I believed them. I was like, oh, man. And then I'm sitting there going, oh, my God, he won. Oh, my God, he won. And the same thing when I was pushing back at the polls the entire time of the Democratic primary. I'm like, Zohran Mamdani is so far ahead of this guy. It's not even funny. And I was like, the polls are garbage. And I'm like, and like, if so that's what we're telling you. So the poll could show you could bring any poll you want to me. I'm not taking it at face value unless we're basing it off of votes that were already happening or early voting. That changes the game a little bit, but even those, you still have to look at the metrics of that polling.
Problem is the integrity of the polls has been corrupted like anything else. Because if you control that, you could control the low information people that believe anything they see in front of them. They literally will believe it, and they have short attention spans like the movie 50 First Dates. Like I said, every morning that Drew Barrymore would forget what happened the day prior. And that was due to an accident. This is just normal people. But Daniel Cazina said that he's with Curtis. He said there was one good poll that had good methodology and polled a large sample size of Dems, Republicans, and Independents, and it showed Curtis within the margin of error winning. Harris X. The other polls are BS. And like I said, I don't want to say too much, but I know how that poll developed and who was behind and how it was used. And I'm telling you, they also are doing this poll every night. And every night, like I said, Curtis, in a poll that they do nightly, continuously has been gaining for months, whereas Cuomo has been losing. Obviously, now Eric is gone. So that I expect to keep trending the same way. Sliwa is trending up, up, up. Everyone else is stagnant or going down. And I could tell from Cuomo only has like at best 30% or less. He doesn't have beyond that. People he's hated. I can tell by the chat he's hated. These are the real people, and they're going to vote. They're not going to sit on the sidelines. And you get these polls, likely voters. They're calling Owen Schroyer in Texas. I mean, give me a break. That's what they're doing.
You know, and just on that Harris X poll, if you guys go back and you'll watch that Walden interview that we did yesterday, he actually brings it up. And then it's like his oh shit moment because he realized he mentioned the one actual poll. And the one actual poll shows Curtis is way higher than the other polls. So it was like his oh shit moment. And that's when he ran. I didn't get time to go back at it. But he brings it up on there and look at his face when he does it.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't know.
It's like that he mentioned that Harris X poll. And I was like, shit, because I never got to go back around on it. But that was something that I wanted to talk about. It's like, well, that one actually showed. And I still said on that Harris X poll, I said that if you look at that poll, Slee was way ahead of where they're saying he is.
Yeah.
And if you could go back to my tweets then, like if you look at that, Slee was way ahead of it, but that was the most accurate poll. And Jim slipped up and he brought it up. And then he was like, because he realized what he did. Like, you know, so.
I actually, I think I just got some. That's why I'm trying to maneuver here. I just got this video. I think it was Jim Walden's best hits. So this is from yesterday on the show. So let's play this. This is Jim Walden's.
Look at him all red and burnt from the sun.
I don't even know what this is. Crazy. This is like what happened to this guy. And a beard. He has a beard out of nowhere.
What Cuomo did during COVID, I'm never going to forget or forgive him for. You know, I stood alongside those families, and I'm very sorry for your loss. But I met so many families that lost their parents or their grandparents during COVID. And on bail reform, he shouldn't have signed it into law, and he shouldn't have championed it. I mean, he obviously leaned way too far to the left, but that was true of the entire Democratic Party at the time. There were very lonely voices, mostly in the independent and the conservative side, that said that bail reform was a terrible idea. He is the. Hold on one second, guys.
What the hell was this part?
That was a blur, I think.
Sorry,
I don't know.
I wholly agree with you on the issue with respect to the polls, right? I've never been a guy that has believed in the polls. I believe that he didn't defund the police. He said that it was a legitimate school of thought, but that he didn't agree with it. That's what his quote was. I don't think it's a legitimate school of thought. I never thought it was a legitimate school of thought. I thought it was suicidal. But obviously politicians change their perspectives.
We already know Cuomo's record, and Mamdani's is a mirror image of Cuomo and Eric Adams, which to me is a both epic fail on a state and city level. I just find it hard to believe. I have nothing but respect for you. We've had you on here numerous times. We've had great conversations, but I have to admit the logic just doesn't seem to make sense.
Vote for Mamdani. I'll be honest. I would never vote for either of them. I'm too principled, and I cannot forgive somebody that should be in jail, and I'm not going to vote against someone who I believe they're the same person, in my opinion. I actually believe Andrew Cuomo has a much worse record, and Andrew Cuomo should probably be in jail. He should have been impeached. He resigned before his impeachment, and there's no way in God's green earth I could ever put my vote towards Andrew Cuomo. If those are my choices, I have no choices. I don't know about you, Eric. What do you think?
No, Jim, I don't believe in abstaining from votes, but that would be the time I would put forth a counter protest, right? Counter protest and say we cannot have these two as our potential candidates for New York City, the most iconic city in the entire world. But at the same token, I respect it's a democratic process. I respect it, but just to go by the front runner, I believe that we could get behind Curtis Sliwa with 5 weeks left. if we push him forward as a crime fighter and not just as a public official, I believe we could catch fire and he could win.
Well, listen, guys. I'm sorry that this all happened during my transit here, but I've got to get going. I really appreciate you having me on, and good luck with the rest of the show. You guys are the best.
What the? I have no idea what this was. Why he bothered coming on, other than it looks really bad for him and what he's saying, and the arguments you made. And actually arguments, but the questions you were giving and the statements you made, he has no answer for other than the polls, and then
That he doesn't believe.
it doesn't believe him, but then he does believe him. I mean, this is like, is he like Cuomo's personal attorney? I'll tell you what he told me though, and you guys should always circle this. He's friends or mentioned that he's close with Artie Idala. And that guy, I mean, I don't need to tell you more about him. Just look him up because he represents Ghislaine Maxwell, Harvey Weinstein. Doesn't matter who he represents, they always lose, but he charges an arm and a leg. And he's friends with Frank Carone and Eric Adams, and he had his little part in what happened with Eric Adams' case because he's friends with all these other clowns. It's like one big circle. He represented Steve Bannon, who got off his charge somehow. So this guy's a politically connected guy. So Artie Idala and him, I remember him mention Artie to me. And when somebody says that, it's just, that's a red flag. I get on Frank Morano, my friend, by the way. We're both friends with Frank, and he knows Artie, and I tell him all the time, like, what do you see in that guy? Because nobody I know, they all say the same thing about him. And that was a sketchy thing for me to begin with. What is he doing? So like being Artie's friend, and then he runs a campaign, and then he moves to Cuomo. It's just the whole thing was very sketchy. But I think you literally were like we'll say publicly undressing him the more he was talking, and the 10 minutes or whatever he was on was very bad. And I don't know if he has the guts to come back on with you or whoever, because he got a lot of play on this network, and now it looks as if he was defrauding just about everyone, because he said one thing running, and now it's all the numbers matter. So the numbers, did they matter back then? You were at 1%. You never moved. And then you're saying Cuomo's a front lead. He's not. He got destroyed, actually, by Mamdani. One-on-one and in a field of 12 or 13 people. He can't win. That is a fact. I don't get it. This guy, and he's smart guy, a lawyer. But I don't know, if he's listening to Artie Idala, then you got to question someone's intelligence, to be honest.
No, I really feel like I got played. I do, because I like Jim, and I thought like, wow, that was like a real. I thought he was. I thought he was sitting there like the emperor has no clothes on. I was like, wow. And then he's like, oh, I'll come back on. Like, you scheduled to come on today. Like, what are you talking about? You'll come back on. And honestly, I'll be honest, I really don't even want to have him back on. I mean, if he wants to come and have a debate, yeah, sure. I mean, like, I'm always open to debating people. But I was really disappointed. I was really taken back by it. And I thought he was like a stand-up guy, and I really think twice about him now. I really don't think that anymore. And I'm like, I was really, really disappointed about it. And I was like, wow. And again, I don't care. Like, some of you could be on here voting for Zohran or voting for Cuomo. It's not because we think different. It's because of the way it went. And several times I was asked to endorse them, and I didn't. And I just continuously, well, what was that about? Like, why would you want me to endorse you? Like, and then it's like, oh, well, because you were going to turn around and always endorse Cuomo anyway. And then so it looks like I endorse Cuomo.
That's what was it.
And I really feel like I got used, dude. That's what I feel like. I feel like he used us, he used you, he used Eric, and he used a lot of people. Not just us. He used a lot of people, a lot of advocacy groups out there. And I was just totally disappointed.
Jeff Smith says, I think the most obvious thing is it looked like Walden was looking for a job in a Cuomo administration if he wins. That could be it too. I have no idea what that was about. It's kind of disheartening, but in politics, Roger Stone says it best. There are no friends in politics. There's no loyalty, he says. That's what it is, not friends. There is no loyalty in politics. So this guy 1 minute could be your buddy, and then a half a second later he's stabbing you in the back, as you're seeing with Cuomo and Eric Adams and all these other people. I did want to play the Curtis Sliwa video for everyone. because this is one of his new commercials. So let's see this.
I want to be clear. Andrew Cuomo is not the answer for New York. He already lost to Mondami in the Democratic primary, and now he's hanging on to a minor ballot line. If anyone should drop out, it's Cuomo. I'm staying in this race because I got a real plan to make our city safe and affordable again. This November, vote Curtis Sliwa.
And he does have a plan. If you go on his website, he has a plan. He has a plan for a housing plan, affordability plan, obviously public safety. He's the candidate for that. I'm wondering. I want to ask if making housing affordable. Okay, here's a whole plan right here. So anyone who says, "Oh, Mamdani plans," sound insane. This is more reasonable, and what more likely. The likelihood of this happening is a lot higher than the Mamdani plan. You have to be reasonable and realize who you're working for and working with on city council. You need help. So, and I would like to reiterate that Curtis, he appeals to the moderate and centrist, unlike what Jim Walden was saying that Cuomo did. Curtis appeals to moderates and centrist Democrats. You know why? Because he's been in the city for 40 years, going around doing the same thing that he's always done. He's not friends with everyone, but he knows everyone. Unlike Cuomo, who thinks he's better than these people. That's the real point of this. He cannot get those votes. That is why he is staggered to 28 or 30%. That's what Cuomo is. Maybe less. Who knows? The more he opens his mouth, people are going to be turned off. He could go and Bible thump and do the low information talking tour. Those people are like the Eric Adams voter, the Jujus of the world. Good luck with that. If New York City is filled with those people, though, you're going to get a Mayor Mamdani. That's the problem because you're not thinking. You need to think here. Thinking is what keeps you alert and alive. We know that from being in a police department. That's the only way you stay alive. But if you're just going to go with the crowd and just shut off the blinders, then we're going to have the issues that we have with this election. So I did want to play another thing. Eric Adams emerged yesterday. He was walking to his limousine or whatever. He's walking to his truck, and I saw that the press corps was following Eric, trying to ask Eric questions. Obviously, he's got a lot of things they want to ask him. So let's play this. This is too.
What about Sliwa? You interested in endorsing him?
Are you mad at Frank for working for Cuomo now?
Are you gonna miss this? Come on.
To Joy, I don't have to speak to them anymore.
Oh, that's not.
You got
true.
a couple more
Come
weeks.
on.
You got a couple more weeks.
You want to speak to us?
See that? John doesn't want to talk to anyone anymore. He has nothing else to say. The swagger man with no plan, the hip hop mayor, the party all the time. Where did that all go now?
That's the real Eric Adams. Incompetent, doesn't care, smug. That's who he is. That's who he was in the police department. That's who he was when he was a state senator. That's who he was when he was the Brooklyn Borough president. The guy doesn't care, and that's the difference between a candidate like Curtis Sliwa and a Zohran Mamdani and an Andrew Cuomo. They're phony. They ride the train when the cameras are there. Curtis Sliwa rides the train every day. He cares. Curtis Sliwa stops on the street, talks to homeless, talks to cops, talks to regular people, talks to sanitation workers, talks to firefighters. He's not doing it when the cameras are there. He's doing it 24/7. He doesn't ride the train when the cameras are there. If you've seen him on New York 1, guess what? He rode the train there. When you see him on Fox News, he rode the train there. He's not playing. He's not walking around with a 50-man security detail like Eric Adams or being chauffeured around like he's fancy. This is a guy. Listen, is Curtis the most perfect person in the world? No, nobody is. We're all flawed. But when you look at candidates and you say, who actually cares? Don't you want a mayor that cares? Don't you want a mayor that loves New York City? Don't you want a mayor that represents New York City? Don't you want a mayor that actually wants to fix things? As opposed to these guys that are pretending they want to be there and they're just using it for higher office and all the other garbage. Like, this is a guy that actually cares. And look, Eric Adams, the true colors came out of the swagger man. He doesn't care. What do you think would have happened? Same situation. Sliwa loses that election. He's going to stop. He's going to talk to the reporters. He's going to answer their questions. But Eric can't do that, right? And now we're all sitting here waiting for that audio book to come out. It's the first time ever I've been waiting for an audio book to drop. That's it, you know?
Yeah, that's crazy. This is crazy. What happened there? At least answer something. I mean, you're still the mayor. And I don't know. This is why you got what you got with him, and why the low integrity people underneath them continue to prosper. As long as this, until December 31st, it's going to be this way. Seth Lowe, another $20 to the Sal Greco Show. Shout out to you. There'll be, I don't know. I'm going to have a ton of heart palpitations if I keep getting espressos on you guys. Sliwa gets elected. Prepare to get back to work, fellas. Greco and John in the 7-3 and 7-5 or 103 precinct to the rescue. You know something? I don't live in Queens, but I keep hearing about the 106. We might have to go and fix that job.
Listen, I already said, I told everybody, I just want to be a lieutenant. I'll take my medium white shirt back, and that's it. You know, I'll get the nice, stretchy, tight white shirt. We're good to go. You know what I mean? That's it. Like, I would like to finish my career that I started a long time ago, and I would like to go out on my own accord. And I would 100%. I have no problem being a lieutenant in a precinct. I have no problem being a cop in a precinct. I loved it. It was the best times of my career. And I have no problem. There's a lot of people that need supervision. There's a lot of people that need a lot of knowledge. They need a lot of know-how. And I have no problem getting out there, going back on the street, answering that radio, dealing with the public, dealing with criminals, dealing with the good people, dealing with businesses, dealing with the political nonsense. I never wanted to get in this politics game. Eric Adams forced my hand, and so did Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah, look, Frankie Palaguacci, he chimes in, $9.99 to the Sal Greco Show. Shout out to Frankie because he's one brave cop. Let me tell you, everything he's gone through. You could watch the prior episode, me and Marlon break down his disgraceful NYPD department trial. And there's a lot of problems in NYPD. We're about to get to one of those very shortly here. He says, I bumped into Curtis at 59th and Lex. You can immediately feel the presence of safety. And that's the point. He may not have been a cop, and he might have been arrested because he was protesting, and they always do that. You can't protest, you know, if you're blocking the street or whatever. He knows the NYPD. He talks to everyone, a lot of people in NYPD, and they really have always loved Curtis. Since I'd say the early 90s or late 80s, Curtis really started to become a friend to the police department. And, you know, he's critical of certain people, which, you know, as a radio personality, that's what you do. You're not always going to agree with what, you know, he was saying if he was critical of whoever was at the time in charge, but he's hit on every nail right now as far as politically in the city, the police department. He knows what he's got to do, and he's doing it. And I'm pretty proud of him, because there was last time he ran a campaign, they were saying things about him. Here, he's everywhere. Other than the few times you hear him either going on a show because he's got to do media, or he did a radio show. He covers for Sid Rosenberg in the morning briefly. Other than that, he's out there campaigning. Everyone else has not really done that. Cuomo doesn't campaign. Eric Adams is nightclub, he's running that whole thing in the nightclubs. And Mamdani, yeah, he does his stuff here and there, but he pretty much is taking it where he thinks he's been anointed king. So Curtis is the one pounding the pavement. So I really hope that New York City on election day or in early voting, you pull that lever, you circle those bubbles for Curtis Sliwa, because that truly is your last bastion in New York City. If you do get a different mayor, they're going to, if it's a Democrat, if it's Mamdani, I think he's going to change the landscape, because he's not a public safety guy. If you think it's bad right now, things could get worse, and the morale in the police department would go down, probably go in a toilet, just because of the direction that he would take. He's going to take his cues from the DSA and all those working family party Democrats, socialists, and they don't like the police. They want things abolished. So he's going to keep some elements, because, de Blasio did the same thing. But I would think that New York City would be headed down far worse than it. Right now it's bad, but it could possibly get worse if you legislate a certain way. And I think this guy's going to legislate a certain way just based on what he says, not anything else. Please, people, do not go after this guy's religion or race. That's the biggest problem here. Don't be a juju. Do not mention race and gender. This has nothing to do, and religion has nothing to do with who you elect. You're electing people based on their policies and what they'll do for you and what you believe they'll do for you. Not because you both pray at the same place, or you don't like the way this one prays, or you don't like that this guy's a man, you don't like that one's a woman. That's exactly why that kind of guy gets elected. Division. It's not about that. It's about politics. Politically, does this person fit my vision for the future of this city and what they're going to do for me, my family, my pocket, and my safety? Am I right, John?
I mean, just look at who's supporting Andrew Cuomo. Look at who's supporting Zohran Mamdani, and look who's supporting Curtis Sliwa. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're a Republican. If you're a working class person, you go to work every day. You're struggling to pay your bills, or maybe you're doing a little good, but you worry about your future. You worry about your kids' future. Who is it clear that the mainstream media and the elites of this world, in this country, and in this city want to be mayor? They don't want Curtis Sliwa, and that's every reason why you should be voting for him. If you're a working class person, because that should tell you everything you need to know, that this person is not bought and sold by the lobbyists. He's out there. He has principles. He has core principles. He has beliefs, and we see it every day. He exudes it. Is he perfect? No, but he's a much better person than Zohran Mamdani or Andrew Cuomo could ever be.
That's right. Special Hagen says it best. He said, when Blueburn was in office, he called Adams an idiot, especially when he testified in that Raymond lawsuit. Listen, I can't disagree with Special Hagen, who also wrote a wonderful piece. You need to check out a website. I think it's HagenLawOffices.net. The guy that compares himself to Dinkins. Even that is a disgrace. He can't. Actually, Dinkins is a better mayor than Eric Adams, and it's not even close.
100%.
Not even
a
close.
way better mayor. Like, it was always a disgrace that Adams was trying to compare himself to him. I was like, that's not.
No.
If Adams was there at that time, New York City never gets fixed. It was only because of Dinkins that Giuliani had the manpower to do what he needed to do.
Yeah, you guys people should read that. See 1804 Banks, your friend Johnny says, someone post the link in the chat. Maybe Special Hagen could do it because she wrote an excellent blog about this. I don't know why people, and Eric Adams himself, keeps comparing himself to David Dinkins. It's truly disgraceful. He is a disgrace to the office. He's a disgrace to politics. He's just a disgrace, period, all the way around. And David Dinkins, for all you could say, he left. Listen, I don't think David Dinkins, for what he did, what he was dealing with, he was a little over his head. He probably went in thinking, I thought this job would be a little bit different because he was a prominent lawyer. He was a prominent guy in Harlem, and then he got to office. It happens a lot. You know, it happens to people. But there are some things he did. Well, he had the NYPD headcount at the highest it ever was. He did do the clean halls. He did the whole program, whether it was Peter Vallone, who did this from city council, or Bill Clinton that funded it. I know he mishandled the riots, which is probably why he didn't get reelected. But yeah, Eric Adams caused a riot every night. There were riots in the street every day with this guy, you know, and everything he said and done is always the opposite. He never tells the truth. He's always double talking. So, and David Dinkins was a well-spoken person. Eric Adams speaks in tongues. 1 minute he wants to talk about low information stuff. Then he wants to sound like he's smart. Then he gives you that quick, catchy, one-liner, so that goes viral. He's all over the place. You don't know who the hell the guy is, other than he's a phony with no integrity. He has no integrity. That's how he's going to be remembered. It's a shame because he came in with high hopes, former cop, but he just ruined it for any cop that wants to run in the future, because you'll always be compared to, hey, did you work with that guy? Are you like that guy? That's what's going to happen, And he's out there trotting his picture of his mom. Dude, stop. It's you. It's you. Nobody says anything about your family. It's you. You are a disgrace. You're a disgrace. And you're still, my case, we're still ongoing, right? Eric Adams still wants to fight all these lawsuits rather than be a man for once, admit that you're wrong, and get rid of all the issues you put New York City in, because now you're just kicking the can for the next guy. You decide. By the way, Eric, you could be deposed in all these cases because no one's going to be defending you. you put yourself in a lot of a mishigas of problems. So, with him. Seth Lowe says $10 more to the Sal Greco Show. Man, you really want to send me to the hospital with all these espressos I got to have. Hey, Greco, if Sliwa decided to reinstate officers that were wrongfully terminated, can city council or Governor Hochul stop him from doing that? The answer actually is no. This could happen at any moment, actually. If they wanted to reinstate anyone here, whether it be John or Marlon or me, and pay for damages and the whole 9 yards, you're rehired in an instant. Of course, it's going to be a mea culpa, right? Because they're going to have to admit that they were wrong. And they did the same thing with all the officers they let off because they wouldn't go along with their little shot program, we'll say, their little injection program. So and they were told to rehire them. So at some point, that dam's going to break. And, I could see the city would be, they're already in a fiscal crisis. Marlon Bethel always says it. It's going to get worse. They're going to have to settle a lot of these lawsuits. Sexual harassment, misuse. There's that breast lactate case, the milk.
The lactation station. Yeah.
That one's another one.
That's
Eric Sanders' case. That's another one. That
the ADA disability case. There's so many.
Yeah,
things.
there's so many and he kicks the can down the road, which is going to cost more money. It costs more to defend cases long term than it is to settle cases because you got to pay for legal fees. Plus, in a case like mine, where we started with criminal association became I found out about your little nightclub extortion. I found out about your little criminal friend up there in the Bronx. I found out about your little operation in the nightclub. All of this stuff now gets factored in and how you treated others versus me and how other people are running around their executives and they're falling forward constantly. You got a problem. That's going to cost more money. Eric doesn't care because it costs you people watching, you people that are citizens in New York City. It's your money, not his. Instead, it should hold people accountable for these decisions. Like if Jessica Tisch wants to fire Frankie Paliguacci, she should pay out of her own pocket because there's already a precedent established in the courts to say that that drug screening test is not scientific. It's not to be used. They paid out money to Boston PD, who then sued psych medics that did that test. So now what do you have? You have a problem. If you agree with his termination, you're part of the problem because you're going against the court. And when you go to real court, Eric Sanders is going to eat your lunch. It's going to cost millions. Really, it's not rocket scientists, but I guess people rather not, I don't know, they don't want to go against the grain. That's the best way to say it. I don't know if you want to say it. I have one last thing I want to show you before.
I got to run in a second, dude. So
okay. We have someone online that's been nonstop commenting on a post, specifically John Schell post about the NYPD chief of department. This individual, Mikey Bones.313, starts his account August 2024, and I believe only has 7,000 followers with 5 posts. I don't know. Look at the comments this person always makes in regards to reposts and things that people post about with John Schell, right? Always. This is just on one post. A different post that John had put up on his Instagram, and we all on it, but John put it up. Then there's a different post. Look what he's writing. All right, what is the context of things? CDS, these guys are in your head. Notice that the chief has been quiet. Why? You heard it here first. All candidates want him as police commissioner. That's hysterical. He has disappeared for the most part. That's a total lie. So this guy is either a troll, Eric Adams himself, I'm saying John Schell himself, or one of his people. And then he comes back on me because I'm saying you're cheerleading for these people, right? And you see what he says. Nonsense, cheerlead. You guys are all about having a say. By the way, he already was approved 3/4. Why is this still plus heard crazy job offers? Conjecture. The guy has serious hooks in high places, what I'm told. Politics and money. And he goes after John. You're a good messenger. You would be so much better if you were honest in commentary, not conjecture. So, but then this is the big one. Just yesterday in one of these posts of, I have up about John, it was commentary about John Schell, about the disability board, and also that he's now advocating to terminate Jessica Tisch and have Kaz Dodry or Tariq Shepard, depends who he talks to, as the next police commissioner. Look what he writes. He writes, "Don't know Sal, but allegedly might be too tardy. I'm told people in his administration, have the receipts about your," which is wrong yet again. This sounds like John Schell because he misspelled your last time. You're fired is with an E. He once again spells your. He means you. He means to spell it again. You are. And friend statements in the past. Don't answer your door and tell Sanders, my attorney, Eric Sanders, be ready. You heard it here. So this is someone who's threatening people. And I like to show one last thing, as Eric Sanders actually posted about this. It's up. And Eric Sanders in the comments said he sent that to the payasos of the savior. So he sent it to everybody. Put that back up real quick, that Eric Sanders. So right here, it says social media post by Instagram handle Mikey Bones.313. And he tags all the main players. The way John Macari and Eric Dim wrote letters and did the same thing. Only that, all cops are woke ends up being a guy that you didn't know his name for over a year and a half or 2 years. He writes, a post on Instagram was brought to my attention earlier this morning, posted by some payaso, probably an NYPD cop, who goes by the name Mikey Bones 313 or someone affiliated with the department. I'm suggesting that NYPD savior Jessica S. Tisch and her crack investigators under my favorite NYPD Chief of Internal Affairs, Edward A. Thompson, investigate this post forthwith. For context, I don't use social media other than X and LinkedIn for my cases and other legal matters. But in 2018, I had someone pull this BS with me. I was officially told by the Threat Assessment Unit of the NYPD Internal Affairs and the Commission to Combat Police Corruption that I, along with other police officials, was on a person's hit list. People forget that I'm a trained investigator and from the same police culture, retired in good standing. I immediately identified the person involved. I told both of these entities in no uncertain terms that if they did not take care of this payaso, I would take care of him myself. 2 days later, this payaso was arrested. I mentioned that to say this. I will not be intimidated for doing my job by this payaso, Mikey Bones, or anyone else. So I'm suggesting you guys deal with this forthwith. Capiche?
So
John?
there you go. Another death threat over the internet by an active member of the NYPD. More than likely a very high-ranking uniform member of the NYPD. And again, what's Jessica Tisch going to do about it? What's IB going to do about it? Absolutely nothing. But it's time that these are legitimate active death threats. They've been happening against us for 3 years for giving our opinion, and it's absolutely disgusting. It's a breakdown in police culture. It's a breakdown in leadership. It's a breakdown in society. It's a breakdown in the criminal justice system. And I'm personally sick of them. So yeah. That person needs to get arrested. They need to go to jail 100%. They need to be exposed for who they are. And I support you 100% in helping you to expose them because it's disgusting. I hate to run on you, Sal, but I do got to run, brother.
Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted your take as this guy's threatening you too and other comments. He's all over the place with you. But it's been a running problem for 3 years. So I don't know, any final thoughts before you go, John? Because I know you got things to do.
I just want to thank everybody in the chat. You guys are always great. So we got a lot of Bensonhurst support in here. Seth Lowe, Silva for you. Listen, help us out on social media. Help us break this narrative. The same way that we broke the narrative that only Eric Adams could beat Zohran Mamdani, and we were pushing it. You've seen all the Midwest social media influencers trying to drown us out, and we broke through that, and Eric Adams is out of that race. We got 3 weeks to do that with Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo needs to drop out of this race or Zohran Mamdani is your mayor. It's that simple. If you're going to vote for Andrew Cuomo, you're basically saying, I want Zohran Mamdani. We need to break that narrative. We need your help on social media. Thank you to Silver Bell for you and the rest of you guys that are constantly retweeting us. I really appreciate it. Everybody, Pat, I see you in the comments. I'm going to get you on Friday. Sal, thank you. Always a pleasure to be on here with you, brother.
Thanks, John. You'll be on in the morning as well, 8:05 live. Doing Finest Unfiltered with Eric and Marlon. They might have more about everything. This thing with this is crazy that you get threats like this. This guy, Joe Mango, says this guy with the threats also sounds like he needs to stop using cocaine. He might be drinking because it might be someone we all know. The very person that I was commenting on with posting a video. Yeah, there's a lot. I see a lot of comments. Said Snake Plissken said, "Wow, that's unbelievable." Pat Donahue didn't know what a payaso is. That's actually a clown in Spanish. Joe Williams says, he asked Sal, I have a question. Do you think Curtis would get a job from Katz if he stays in the race and Mamdani wins? I think he has a contract with the radio station regardless. If I was Curtis, though, I'd probably revisit that after seeing the way John Katz is reacting to this, because it's, I don't know. I have no idea why he's doing that. But, yeah. So now I guess we'll have the producers take. Jack, what you say about everything you heard today and what you just saw at the very end there?
Yeah, so in regards to the Republican Party in New York City, they need to get their act together once and for all if anything is going to change in the city. And I'm not talking about just this election cycle. I'm talking about all the seats in Congress, the next mayoral race, which is going to take place in 2029, because right now they just look like those kids who were really good at football in high school, decided to go play at a Division III school, and after not playing for 4 years, they want to take a picture on senior night just to prove that they played college football, even though they were in Division III, not Division I. They've kind of coalesced behind this identity of the mean girls of city council, Joanne Ariola, Vicky Palladino, and Ina Vernikov. They don't really have much of an identity right now, and no one really knows what the Republican Party is about. John Catsimatidis, for a long time, has supported candidates on both sides of the aisle, both Democrats and Republicans. We all know his daughter, Andrea Catsimatidis, is the chair of the Manhattan Republican Party. But at some point, they're going to need to step up when it comes to raising money for candidates and picking candidates who really want to run and be a part of the New York City political ecosystem. I get that it's kind of a tough time to really ramp up the efforts in doing those things, given that there's a lot of displeasure with Trump in Washington. But a strategic game plan is necessary going forward if Republicans are going to take back New York City.
Pat Donahue said, Jack, that you look like Max Headroom. You're the reincarnation of Max Headroom. Pat is one of the funniest guys. Yeah, I know. That is hysterical. Max Headroom. You're going back to let me tell you, back in the day, Max Headroom, there was a thing where someone took over the TV signal for a television station in Chicago. That was infamous because it came over twice. It was a guy, I think he pulled his pants down. Nobody knew who did it. To this day, the FBI could not solve that case. So it's funny you mentioned that was one of the last times you saw Max Headroom. Then he was briefly shown on Back to the Future Part 2. If you remember when Marty McFly walks into that corner store, like the little diner, and you saw Max Headroom. They actually made it into Ronald Reagan, I believe, or something was talking. So that you're bringing back the 80s. Talking about Max Headroom, but that was an incident that happened. Guys could check it out. It's on YouTube. Put in Max Headroom incident and you'll see it. That's essentially what he looks like, but somebody put a fake mask on. It was just very freaky. It was just a freak thing that occurred. I remember when this happened. This was a few years back, but
so,
yeah.
Speaking of stunt doubles, Andrew Cuomo has resorted to AI for doing everything, including his most recent ad, which really proves that he doesn't care. He decided to pose as a motorman, but obviously this was generated by AI because he looks more like David Schwimmer with a hat on right here than Andrew Cuomo. You can't tell me that Andrew Cuomo actually looks like himself in any of these photos. I don't care if it was washing the windows, driving the train, cleaning the streets. It's clear that Cuomo doesn't want to win and he has some sort of ulterior motive here. I think that he might be in financial trouble and he's leaning on the Trump organization and his donors to try and support him. But listen, the guy failed the first time around as a politician, rode the coattails of his father, Mario, into public office, couldn't beat an inexperienced assemblyman with $25 million of support behind him, and is now trying to revise the past and prop him up when he has absolutely no identity as a politician. What is Andrew Cuomo? He talks about Mamdani not being a good option to be mayor of New York City. We're all in agreement of that. But what is he going to do as an alternative? What has he done in the past that is going to inspire confidence? The answer to all of the above is absolutely nothing. And that's why we can't keep trusting and trying to push Andrew Cuomo across the finish line, because he, quote unquote, represents the best chance. In other words, there's a lot of billionaires who are circling back around because they're scared of Eric Adams.
John Katz.
Correct. Yeah, John Catsimatidis included. And then they're disenchanted with Curtis Sliwa because he's not going to cater to special interest groups.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to authenticity in this game? We need to start looking at this thing rationally. And the only rational option in terms of someone who can beat Mamdani and who can also represent New Yorkers and the natives who want to stay here is Curtis Sliwa.
Yeah. I'll say this. I see this as a quote someone sent me. Still, much of Sliwa's base of conservatives and Republicans dislike Cuomo. One survey from pollster Adam Carlson found that 76% of Sliwa's voters have an unfavorable view of Cuomo. We've been touting the 60% of Republicans, conservatives hate Cuomo. It's actually closer to 80%. There you go, folks. He can't win. I don't know what you guys are thinking. He can't win. It's essentially Mamdani versus Curtis, but the longer Cuomo's in there, he's hurting the Republican, and he will be remembered in the laurels of time as somebody who gave you this socialist mayor, the second socialist mayor of New York City. And whatever happens in those 4 years would be Cuomo couldn't get out of the way. He's a greedy, he looks like, what was his name? He looks like the guy from Godfather.
Which one?
The first Godfather. I don't know. It's the D'Italias. Remember that guy D'Italia? Looks.
Oh, Bruno D'Italia, the guy that when what was the fat guy who got like the thing?
Luca Brasi.
Yeah, that guy.
Bruno D'Italia.
Yeah, Bruno
AKA
D'Italia.
Andrew Cuomo. That's his mentality. It's I'm going to do what I want. He feels like he's a dictator. What's best for him too would be to just get out of this because you can't win. But he doesn't know how. And the reason he needs to get out of it, there it is. The reason
look alike, honestly. Now that you
the reason he won't get out of this is for self-pride. That's it. He's another self-promoter, all that stuff. He's the same way as Eric Adams. They actually have a lot more in common than you think, which is why they won't go together in the same room. They just because it's the same person, just two different bodies, And I don't know. This guy staying in the race it hurts New York City. You could do what you want, Cuomo, but you're hurting the city. I know you don't care because you already hurt the city. You destroyed it actually as the governor. You were doing everything you can to destroy the city. And if New York City is low information enough to vote for him, then it's really over. And I guess Republicans get what they want too, the ones behind the scenes.
It's a good thing that you cited that statistic from Adam Carlson about how 70-something, I think it was either 73 or 76% of voters who are supporting Sliwa view Cuomo as unfavorable. That's an important statistic. And I actually had a long conversation with Adam about this. He doesn't like to do a lot of media appearances. He's a little camera shy, but we had a long conversation about this. I said, Adam, none of Sliwa's supporters are going to go over to Cuomo. That's totally faulty logic. As the polls stand right now, and he agreed with me on this, Sliwa is going to end up overachieving relative to what people are predicting. He's going to end up with at least 20 to 25% of the vote, and he's going to be pushing Cuomo for second place if it stands right now. This was based on a poll from a couple months ago. So Sliwa's support base has totally been underestimated from the get-go, and now we're living in this perfect world where everyone who supports Sliwa is logically going to just go over to Cuomo, and Sliwa and Cuomo are going to team up a la Brad Lander and Zohran Mamdani, which isn't a total unity relationship because apparently Mamdani hasn't actually promised Lander anything if he does win the race. But anyway, people are saying that Sliwa should be Cuomo's deputy mayor. No, it should actually be the other way around. Cuomo is a failed politician. He should be taking the backseat role, and Sliwa should be getting the chance to run City Hall because he's earned it. He's deserved it, and he's the people's mayor. He's the person that everyone should be voting for. And shame on John Catsimatidis. Shame on Andrea. I'm going to be having a conversation with her personally about this too, because it's totally ridiculous that you're the chair of the Manhattan GOP and you're not even supporting the Republican candidate. She was just reelected, did not say one thing about Sliwa in her reelection speech. This is the most classic example of political blackballing that I have ever seen.
If he doesn't win, you're going to have a few people to thank. Cuomo's number one. Number two, John Catsimatidis and all the billionaire Republicans who think that they've been doing this game for a long time. They like to lose because only a select few have the keys to the inner circles of these Democratic administrations. So, you know, it's you're learning it's a scam, and they're going to have a lot of people be some hell to pay. And if somehow Curtis wins, don't worry, he remembers. He can forgive. He doesn't forget, as he likes to say. So I'm sure the John Katzes of the world, these people, they'll be, you know, where they belong, because they shouldn't have this kind of say in things. And why aren't you helping the Republican that is running for office? Neil S. He says, in my 39 years of voting in New York City, I've never been polled and don't know anyone who has admittedly has been. That's true. I mean, neither. Frankie Palaguacci says, follow the money. You know, here's one thing I'm going to dread. I figure I say this. Chris Nalina said, Sliwa has never said a positive thing about Trump. I remember when Sliwa was mocking Trump's cabinet picks several months ago. Chris, he actually has a point. There's plenty of material there. Steve Witkoff should not be in administration. Boris Epstein, a failed lawyer, friend of all these people I mentioned today, who his friend Emo Bove got Eric Adams off his case. Boris Epstein's been arrested. Look at his record. He's also trying to sell positions in the cabinet off, and New York Times reported that, and I don't know what Trump ever did with that. Why is this guy even around Donald Trump? You got to ask yourself that question. And he's not the greatest judge of character. You could tell, you know, he doesn't put the, you know, he says he's a whatever genius, stable genius. Yeah. Like you had Michael Bolton and as a national director of national security, you had, what was his name too? That other guy that was there as a chief of staff last time. All those picks. Who do you think put him there? Oh, Christopher Wray. That was Donald Trump. He even said, oh, Chris Christie recommended me. Chris Christie? So you put him in? So he's right to criticize those picks. We can't be stupid. And like I said, I'm not going to throw pom-poms for Trump for every little thing. I'm not that kind of guy. He is wrong on a lot of his appointments. He's got bad people around him still to this day. So if Curtis criticizes him, he's right. But I'll tell you what, his guys in Trump's camp were crisscrossing with Eric Adams people. The people around Curtis, they're not Eric Adams people, and they won't be seen around Eric, and they want nothing to do with him. So, you know, if you're saying he has nothing good to say, he did vote for Trump. He admitted voting for Trump, and he was for Trump in a prior election because he knew he was the better candidate. But he's critical of things the way I am. You know, I do support Trump, but at the same time, when I don't see something I like or something that's not right for the people, I'm going to tell you it. I'm not telling you I love Trump. I'm his best friend. No, he's the president. I expect the best from the president. That's it. And so does Curtis. So to that degree, it's better that you're not endorsed or have Trump around you, because that would kill your chances in New York City, by the way. And you know that. No mega candidates for mayor. You won't win.
Curtis has been very transparent about the fact that A, he's a non-traditional Republican. He's not a conventional Republican. And B, that while he supports Trump, he's not going to be getting down on one knee and kissing the ring the way other people are. And to a certain degree, that probably upsets Trump, because at the end of the day, Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo have both actively gone out and sought after his endorsement. So when he sees the Republican nominee not bending a knee the same way, it kind of rubs him the wrong way. That's my interpretation of the situation, at least.
Lone Silencer says something nice here. It says Trump's inner circle influencing his choices might be as stupid and or corrupt as Eric Adams' Conso Frico crew. And you know something? That's the best way to describe it. What he just said right there.
I'm glad that we've finally come to realize what's going on behind the scenes here as well, with the most recent revelation that Israel is paying people $6,000 to $7,000 per ex post. That, in a nutshell, is happening all across the political ecosystem right now, ladies and gentlemen. Some of these influencers who have such polarizing, strong, one-sided opinions where they're recycling the same talking points over and over again from 5 years ago like they're robots. yeah, they're being paid. Those opinions are not coming from here inside their heart. They're not formulating them themselves. They're just mouthpiece for other people. And that's a big problem with the media industry. No one wants to be honest. And all of a sudden, this fake information starts to become believable. That's a big issue. We're giving you the real information here. We're talking about bills that Mamdani passed. We're talking about what Curtis Sliwa is going to do as mayor. We're not getting lost in the nonsensical rhetoric which has dominated this election cycle. Listen to us. Don't listen to them.
Yeah. I'm not saying it like, oh, listen, look, you're free to listen to who you want, but you're going to see that those guys are working a tandem and we don't. We're the real deal. You know, we give you our opinions and what we know, from what we know, and we just tell it to you. We're not going to, call the DC Drainers of the world, who then Benny Johnson says the same thing like 50 seconds after that. But it's like, you understand what's going on here? HFL says, not for nothing, Sal, Trump is a 2-time president and multi-billionaire, so he must be doing something right. Yeah, he got elected twice. He also lost, and when he lost, whether it was one way or the other, the way that happened, there were people that went to jail. Remember that whole thing? I mean, people are still suffering like me just because you're in D.C. and you didn't do it. You're just there. You're in the vicinity, and people just want to lump you in with everything, so your life is over. He doesn't reach out to those people. Yeah, he pardoned all those people. People spent 4 years in jail. People that committed suicides. This is a problem that people this is why they have issues with him. He is the better candidate between him and Kamala Harris, yes. But now you're seeing as he's governing, I get calls all the time like, what's going on here? What's with this guy? And then, I'm not covering for people. It is what it is. Your eyes don't mistake you. I'm telling you, your eyes don't mistake you. But Curtis is he is the perfect fit for New York City, and he's lived there a really long time. And he's not looking to become the fucking the president. He's not looking to become the governor. He just wants to be the mayor. Can't say that for the other guys running. I'm sure they have their eyes on other political aspirations, just like Eric Adams did, Bill de Blasio, Bloomberg. They all wanted to be more of Giuliani. None of them ever pan out more than New York City mayor. Curtis is coming and saying, I just want to be the mayor and fix my city. That's it. He's not going to run for anything else. So that's the best way to describe the whole race. I don't know, Jack, you want to chime in on anything else?
Let me just wrap up with one parting point, and then I'll give a shout out to my New York Yankees, hoping they can wrap things up tonight. But, I mean, listen, we both want good things to happen in Washington. We both voted for Trump. We're both Republicans. We both support the guy. I would go and vote for Trump 3 times again. That's how much I like him. But at the end of the day, I mean, he's not Kim Jong-il. He's not a dictator. He's not the sovereign of the universe the way some people perceive him as. And as such, he's made mistakes too. He let his lawyer take the fall for the 34 felonies that he was convicted of, which included falsifying business records as it pertains to his hush fund payment to porn star Stormy Daniels. So, I mean, he has had issues in his life. He has been arrested before and convicted, as I just mentioned. So, yeah, I mean, it's important to take the good with the bad with any relationship, but it really is applicable to our perception and our viewpoint pertaining to the president as well. Now on to the good stuff, though. I think that my New York Yankees are going to wrap things up in the Bronx tonight. We are going to advance to the ALDS, where we will match up again with the Toronto Blue Jays, who just squeaked by us in the American League East. Cam Schlitter and Connolly Early tonight. What a pitching matchup. An incredible game last night. The Yankees won 4-3. Austin Wells, the go-ahead hit. This has been a really back and forth kind of tug of war series, and I think that the good guys are going to win this time around.
I don't know. The good guys are actually the Red Sox. The Yankees represent the devil. I expect Boston to beat you, and you'll be in the doldrums like you were last year. I'm just telling you, I don't think the Yankees will beat you. You barely won yesterday's game. That was a miracle winning that. And you were winning, and then it came from behind, and they tied it, and there was a play that you barely got that running. Chisholm, who, by the way, is a former Marlin, barely beat that throw to home. Oh, that game when it kept going. And they barely missed hitting a grand slam. Trevor Story hit and then the game with 2 outs, they hit a ball all the way next to the wall. That just shows that now Red Sox are going to be furious tonight. And I just think the Yankees are the Steinbrenner family manages them, but clearly not like the father. That's the best. You could kind of see that. And the Yankees became more of a corporate entity than a baseball team. Good luck. Obviously, I'm going to put my eggs in the Red Sox basket tonight. I think they're going to win just based off the series. They've been a better team. So unless they go to sleep tonight, if they're like the Jets from the other night against the Dolphins, then yeah, the Yankees will win. But I think the Red Sox will squeak by. HFL says, Sal, you have YDS, Yankee derangement syndrome. No, I'm not a Yankee fan. I get clearly, I don't like the Yankees. I never did. I never will. And, as a team, yeah, they play good. They've had a winning history. But watch them tonight. Watch them in this series. I mean, I see the Red Sox as a better team. And the Blue Jays are a better team, so that'll be another problem. So I still see the comments going back. Hey, that girl Aria is back. See, we could be. Why can't we be friends? I remember last time she got all mad at me, and see, she said, "Chris, Trump isn't exactly great. He cheats, contractors in declaring war against U.S. citizens, prepares for war abroad, and certainly doesn't unite us." I respect Sliwa for his opinion on Trump. See, even people you think you can't agree with, you could definitely find common ground. I told you. Yeah, I voted for Trump. I'll support him. He's the president. But at the same time, every little move he makes? No, there's a lot of things I don't like. And Curtis says the same things. And no, you don't just bow down to someone. He is your president. He works for the people. So the people need to say, hey, wait a minute. I don't like this. What are you doing? HFL, though, says it's okay, Sal. Let's go into it. That's right. We won the other day in Champions League. So that's 2 wins. I think there's another 4 games there. So they're, I think, the top of their little division in the Champions League. And they'll be playing, I believe, on Saturday or Sunday against Cremonosa. So we'll see. We'll see how that one goes. But that's right. It's always Forza Inter out there. And don't forget, today at 5 p.m., ESPN 3, there's Highlight. And, of course, tomorrow at 7 o'clock at the Magic City Fronton, my Chargers are playing the Devils. So you can catch that again on ESPN 3, highlightworld.com. You can check out all the fun. Also on YouTube, Highlight League, and Instagram. And you can check out all the videos. You can meet some of the players. But it's always a great time there. See, Aria saying, I love you, Sal. I'm a fan of the show. I'm Italian like you. I like Mamdani, but I respect Sliwa. Like I said, only 2 people in this race who care about New York City, Mamdani and Sliwa. I would agree with you. I agree with you, because Cuomo doesn't care. And certainly Eric Adams only cared about himself. We've proven that on the show for years now. And he will continue to only care about himself, ever. I just can't wait to see what that book has to say. With Naismith, his former girlfriend, Nasmin J, her name is. That's going to be very interesting. Very interesting. Let's see anyone left there. Pat Downey says Yankees win tonight 4-2. We'll see. You might lose 4-2. Who knows? Joseph Quinones says Yankees can't rely on Volpe as the offense. I don't know who they're relying on the offense. That's the whole point. It's not the same anymore. With what's going on with the way the Yankees played this year versus last year. Different dynamic. We don't have Juan Soto. And the Mets, too bad. They have Juan Soto, but they can't beat the Marlins. And the Marlins, who could have made the playoffs, couldn't beat the Rockies. It's like one big mess, right? Shout out. The Reds got destroyed by the Dodgers. So that was that was really worthy of them making the playoffs, right? Too bad the Mets had to go and lose to the Reds. Or they would have been playing the Dodgers. Would have been a much better series. That's funny. Joe Mangler says, Sal, with that singing, I expect to see you on The Voice. That is hysterical. Imagine I would go on that show. Maybe Mikey Bones will be there because he might get a visit from Eternal Affairs soon. I guess that's that. Listen, tomorrow morning, 8:05. Catch the Finest Unfiltered in the morning. John will be on with Eric and Marlon. I'm sure there'll be further developments with everything. Also, I think John will have some other videos he's been posting. If you can, yesterday's executive perspective was excellent. I watched it actually ask a question to Ron and Rob. They not only answered it, it was a great take. They gave a whole analysis on the mayoral race. It was probably the best I've seen Ron Layson. A shout out to Ron Layson. He was awesome. Rob Lukesh, always good. And I'm going to have Rob on at a certain point because there's something me and Rob are going to touch up on. And just got to wait for some further developments in that. But he did touch up on SOD because remember, he was a chief in SOD. And there's a lot going on there in the NYPD. And we will peel back the layers there very shortly. That's the best way to describe it. So please check them out. You could check them out on replay here or follow them on X also. And check out the 10-4 Tavern on replay. Of course, that's on Tuesdays at 7:05, 19:05. Executive Perspective at 17:05, 5:05 on Wednesdays. With that being said, there you go, Rob. Thanks, Sal. Appreciate that. Looking forward to being on. Yeah, you know exactly what we're going to be touching up on, too. Rob is a distinguished chief, by the way. And when he speaks, everyone who is either NYPD or knows about it, you should listen because he's got a lot of experience. But there's some things he's not touched up on yet that we will get into. Stay tuned. So with that being said, I hope everyone has a great weekend. There's a lot coming up. You got highlight, there's football, the return of hockey, very, right around the corner, so there's a lot to be thankful for, but please do your information, do your research on information on this mayoral race. Whatever happens here, we just care about the future of the city and the people that live there. That's the whole point, That's the main thing with this race. And I just, like I said, I'm also reached out to the mayoral candidates. So in the next week or two, you might see a mayoral candidate or two be on this program. So we'll see how that works. So I give you that little nugget there. And that's a wrap from South Florida here. So before I kick it to the illustrious current mayor of New York City, I'd like to thank you all for being here. If you could hit the like button, the share button, subscribe button on YouTube, on Rumble, the like and Rumble button, and on X, please like this and share this out to everyone you know, especially those in the low information circles. This way, this information can get out. Long form shows are where you get the most information, just so you know. This way, you got to expand the attention span because it's very important. But thank you all for everyone in the chat. Billy Blasto says, yo, Fat Joe on the air, BMS operator's desk. Fat Joe. Thought he would be in I thought Fat Joe would be at Sobro Gardens. Mr. Consofrito himself. But yeah. Aria, bye, Sal. Thank you. No, thank you. Because look, I know we had a little dust up last time, but you see, I'm not anyone's enemy. Other than certain individuals in the police department, I have a issue. I don't know what their issue is. One guy, I mean, he just go retire already. Disability board, October 8th. Thankfully, he'll be gone. Patrick Daniel, out of Redetchi, Sal. Pat, you're like the funniest guy in the chat. Even I can't recite every little thing you say because it's funny, but everyone loves you in the chat. So please come back on the chat because it's hysterical what you say. And also on all the other shows. And I think you could come back on eventually with someone because you're really funny and make a lot of good points. And I'm sure you're doing your own research from what I remember. So Pat might be having some very important information about certain things because, the New York City Police Department, it needs an enema. I think Eric Dim said that best. It needs an enema. There's a lot that's going on, and people need to be held accountable, whether it be in a court of law or out in city council maybe. But people, New York City taxpayers, shouldn't be paying for all this nonsense that they do. I'm very adamant about that. I care about the people. That's how you should be. It's not about the agency. It's about the people, your fellow man, your fellow woman, no matter what they are, cop, not a cop. When you see people operating like criminals, you got to step in. It's not right. That's the whole point. So with that being said, I hope everybody, once again, have a great weekend. Check out highlight, check out football, check out the baseball, check out hockey coming up. This is how you, get your mind away from everything. And please, I like I said, I do want Curtis Sliwa to win. I think he's the best candidate, and really do your research watch this show over and over again. You can learn a thing or two about Andrew Cuomo, who is an absolute tyrant in my book. Although I invite him on the show, but I'm sure he thinks he's way above me and everyone else in the chat. So with that being said, I'm signing off from South Florida because, as you know, we are a sunny place for shady people.
So this is a biblical moment. You know, when Jesus was on the cross, he said, God, forgive them, for they know not what they do. All these Negroes who are asking me to step down, God, forgive them. Are you stupid?